Yeah, I can hear.
Hello.
Okay, but before we start, which Game of Thrones house are you actually in? You have all of the flags. You can't be in all the houses, you cheater. Okay, obviously, me too.
And then, and I actually have
Oh, that's dope.
Tyrell over there.
That's awesome.
And then over there on the mantle in the center is actually Joffrey's crown.
Oh yeah, I remember when you got that. You sent me a picture.
Yeah, I won some competition with the cable company local there, and they gave me one of like 1,500 like pieces made from the actual mold from the crown itself. So it was really cool.
Oh,
What?
Yeah.
that's cool.
And of course,
That's really
surrounded by
cool.
my books and Viking horns right now.
Nice. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, Tammy, my brother is a Viking. We have one of those on our other podcast.
I was just gonna
too.
say he reminds me so much of Vin.
Yeah. Vin is a history teacher, but he's like totally obsessed with Vikings and like weaponry. And whenever we watch horror movies that are set in that period, he'll know like which things are like genuine or if they got just crappy weapons that don't make sense for the time period and stuff. It's awesome.
What's his name? Like, what's his last name?
Oh, I don't know. He goes by Revenant Vin. Like if you look, he has a website and stuff with reviews. And you can look it up. It's like the Revenant Vin.
Okay. Yeah, just curious because we had at my second job at the meadery, we had some people come by that are part of this group. One of them was a teacher that studied, that was a history teacher that studied all that stuff, and he we were supposed to do a class on how to make bind runes, and he ended up just talking about the history of bind runes and stuff like that. Instead of teaching us how to actually do it. So we sat there for like 3 hours. I fell asleep, but people sat there for 3 hours. I mean, me in classrooms don't do well.
I know. Nope, that wasn't our Vin. Our Vin just makes smart ass comments to kids.
Okay, yeah.
With lines from Hellraiser and stuff.
Yeah, I would have been awake for that class.
Yeah, he's pretty entertaining. Okay.
Is that you loosening it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loosening it up. My shoulders are like, ugh. Okay, don't want to get a headache halfway through the podcast.
Yeah, I guess that's the good thing is after the podcast, I get a massage. Mm-hmm.
Lucky. I'm going to try and beg Jim for a massage. But he's woodworking, so I don't know if he's going to feel like it. But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
My girlfriend's going to school for massage therapy, so I get homework.
Oh man.
You're so lucky.
Yes.
Oh my God. When I used to live back in the desert, I had so many friends that were going to school for that, and they would test all their massages on me, and I loved it. Because out in the desert, there's like no jobs, Tammy. And we got like one trade school, and like everybody went to it and tried to become masseuses. It was so funny.
So,
desert.
quick question.
Yes.
The haunting headlines, the parentheses, say the parentheses.
You can. That's just like the news source.
Okay. I was listening to last week's podcast. Did you guys see anything about the Wolfman movie being postponed until 2025 now?
Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah, if you know any news, you can bring it up too.
I don't know for sure because I looked, I researched it for like a good half hour, 45 minutes, and I couldn't find any definitive things. But one thing from IMDb showing it's 2025 now.
Okay.
But that's all I can say. And also that the initial actor for that role was actually supposed to be Ryan Gosling. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. And I was like, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's not anymore.
Yeah, I love him, but he would have been too big for that role.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, and being a huge fan of the Benicio del Toro Wolfman and Anthony Hopkins, like that to me, they should have just stuck with that one and moved on with that one.
I don't know, dude. I started watching that and I realized, because, I grew up loving Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like him because of Me and My Mom, because that was like one of our favorites. But I was rewatching that and I was like, he's kind of a bad actor.
Oh, no,
Not
he
good.
is. He
But
is. But the
when I
good
was
thing
a kid,
about
I
that is he
loved
doesn't
him.
have to talk a lot in that movie. He just kind of makes
That's true.
sounds, and then of course you have Hugo Weaving. You have like
Mm.
Agent Smith himself in that movie, which they were supposed to carry on to a sequel where he got bit and he is hunting Jack the Ripper in London. That was supposed to be the second edition of that franchise.
That actually would have been fun. I love
Yeah.
Hugo Weaving. Okay, I'm gonna take one more drink. I'm gonna try and like eat while you're telling all the news. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, fellow weirdos, and welcome to Horror Through Her Eyes. You've got the Amateur Destroyer and the Taminator here, ready to explore the twisted world of horror and prove that girls enjoy horror just as much as the guys do. We also have a special guest tonight, who is my brother Dylan. Woo! AKA the Dynamic Assassin, which, on our last episode, we said that he was the Pinky Knight, but I found out that I had been duped by the wrong Wu-Tang Clan name generator. I thought it was weird. I was like, this doesn't look right. And so I found the right one today, the legit one that gave Childish Gambino his name and gave me my Amateur Destroyer name. So Dylan has been knighted again, but as Dynamic Assassin.
much more tolerable.
Yes, and I figured it kind of like ties into my name a little better too. You can definitely see the family ties between Amateur Destroyer and Dynamic Assassin. We're both pretty badass, apparently. So, brother, go ahead and tell the listeners about yourself and your horror origins, as well as what kind of horror movies you typically enjoy.
Well, growing up with you and Charlene, your mom, like, didn't really have an option but not to, but to get into the weird. Growing up and you guys were watching, earliest memories for me is, remember American Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah, that's a good comfort food movie.
Evil Dead.
People. I still like American Werewolf in Paris, by the way. I don't care. It's bad.
It's like, it's just the earliest that I can remember. Like, that's, I remember you playing Resident Evil on PlayStation, the original. I remember half the time you playing it and me being scared and not wanting to be in the room, but then still kind of hiding around the corner with my head like poking out, trying to watch the game. But I mean, as far as I can remember, that's pretty much where it started. Was, you and your mom always watching that stuff and me just kind of being there and watching it with you guys and growing up in it, and it never really stopped.
Nice.
Yeah. I tend to like the older, hokier stuff, though. The new stuff is good sometimes, but I love the bad. I love like the terrible horror movies that you're not supposed to like, but are just good because they're bad. Like,
Hell
that's
yeah.
my thing. Like Velocipaster.
Oh, I love that.
Rubber. Like, I mean,
I haven't seen that yet, but I want to.
How can you not love a movie about a serial killer tire?
Agreed. I think that they have a certain charm when they're done right.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just at a certain point, I think you know what it is, and so you just lean into it. And I feel like, I mean, that's what they did with Evil Dead. Evil Dead started as a great horror movie, and then was campy without them trying, and then second one was like, okay, well, we're going to take the first one, do it again, but we're going to lean into the camp. And then obviously went from there and just became one of the campiest series, but that's why it's so great.
Exactly. I totally agree. Well, awesome. Thank you for doing that. And tonight, for those who don't know yet, we will be reviewing Killer Klowns from Outer Space by the Chiodo brothers. And it's from 1988, so the year after I was born. and we're doing this in honor of its 35th anniversary. And this is a favorite of Dynamic Assassin. And it has a special place in my heart because he traumatized my daughter with it when she was a wee babe, by showing her this movie when she was too young. And I tried to get her to rewatch it with me this time and the last time I watched it, which was like 3 months ago or something. And she won't. She won't do it.
Is it the clowns though? Like, is she afraid of clowns?
She is now.
Okay.
Which I think is awesome. They are very gross and creepy though.
They're creepier to me. These are the creepiest clowns. Like, I would take Pennywise over these guys. Like, because if I'm walking down the street and I see a guy dressed as Pennywise, I'm like, okay, not like obviously if he starts doing the other stuff, freaked out, but see these guys walking down the street, I'm just gonna turn around and walk the other way.
Yeah, they're kind of terrifying, especially when they get really close in the face and you see all the detail, and you're like,
they did a great job. The prosthetics that they used and the mask and everything, that's why it's one of my favorites, because I love practical effects over special effects. I'd much rather see someone in a get up with a mask and done really well. I mean, I was a huge fan of the show Face Off, where they got to do all the different costumes and
I love that.
and stuff.
Yeah, I love that too.
But to me, it shows how much work goes into it as well. Like, it's an art form, and when you just take it away and put it onto a computer, it takes away the impact. Because at least with these, you can say, well, it's obviously really bad prosthetics, but it's real. Like, I can see it, it's tangible, I can touch it, so it makes it a little bit more real to me anyways.
Oh my God, we are totally related. So I feel exactly the same way. I mean, even just bringing up Pennywise again, this is why, and I get some hate for this, but the new It movies, they just didn't do it for me, because it looks so fake to me. And when you look at Tim Curry, like an actual Pennywise getup, and them doing the special effects, even of him like opening up the drain, like that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Because it was more real. It seems something that could happen, and then you get the new one where these effects are happening, things are spinning. It's obviously CGI looking. Like, if you see it in real life, and it's gonna definitely mess with you, but in a movie, it's like, okay, now it's just another movie. Kind of takes me out of it a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So that's the movie we'll be covering tonight. And we're going to give Dylan a little taste of podcasting here and let him lead us into our haunting headlines. So Dylan, when you're ready, go ahead and take it away.
All right. So for the haunting headlines that we have this week, Prime Video has unveiled the official trailer of the horror anthology series Them, the Scare, slated to premiere on April 25th. So it's coming up here pretty quick, 2024. I can honestly say I don't know anything about this series.
Yeah, it came out. It only had one season so far a few years ago. And it's actually the reason that I joined the horror cast to begin with. And it's how Tammy and I became friends, was us talking on Facebook about the series. Yeah. And then she invited me on the horror cast. So that's why I put it in haunting headlines. It's like special for me and Tammy specifically.
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of time between both jobs and the kid to sit down and watch like a good horror series. I did get to watch the Fall of House of Usher, which was awesome. I really enjoyed that series. I just love those kind of series where the overall plot you kind of get at the beginning, but then you get to see it unfold as it happens through the end, and you just get to see the story kind of, because you know where it's heading, you know where it's going. So now I just get to enjoy the ride. So that I really did enjoy that, and my daughter, she's 6 and loves Wednesday. Like, absolutely loves the Wednesday series, and I'm excited that they're going to come out with the second season. So it'll be something that her and I can watch together this time, because she watched the entire first series at her mom's house. So
yeah, I totally that series, it's like a little dorky for me, or a little like to appeal to the masses.
Yeah.
But having it with a kid, like I watched it with Raina, and I mean she's not a kid, but she's my kid. So
Yeah.
it makes it fun that it's kind of like a good gateway thing for kids. You know what I mean? Because kids
Yeah,
seem to
it's
really
not too
gravitate towards it.
scary. Yeah, it's not too scary, but it is still something that kind of opens the door.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's like a gateway for goth kids too.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like
100%.
making little girls turn into goths, which I'm like all for. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, this one, I will say, disturbed me a little bit. NECA, Nika just made a life-size Megan doll that you can purchase for $500.
Nope, that's a nope from me.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say no on any kind of doll in any way, shape, or form. While you wait for the Killer Dolls upcoming sequel, it's heading to theaters May 2025. Bloomhouse and Nika have joined forces to create a screen-accurate, life-size Megan doll. Full disclosure, like I know you guys talked about it on the Facebook page and stuff like that. I think everybody thought it was a joke, an April Fool's Day joke, and then they just kept it on there. And I think we were all very disappointed that it wasn't a joke. At least the people I know. But yes, it is definitely still available for pre-order. It's running what, $494.99, so just under $500. Yeah, and I mean, I will say, considering it's a memorabilia thing, it is pretty cool. I will just never own a movie memorabilia doll.
Mhm.
But yeah, it looks like they got it's fully posable, life-size replica of the robot doll from the movie Megan. It has articulated inner armature, movable eyes, synthetic hair matched to the screen hair samples that they used in the movie. Her clothing is made from film use patterns, not firm. That'd be weird. And it includes a dress with inner lining, two stripe sleeves, a bow tie, underwear, tights, and shoes. That's an oddly specific thing to put on a
Yeah.
doll.
Yeah.
And
I'm a
the
little
fabric
scared.
materials of her dress are also a match for the movies as well. And shoes are customized with details from the screen shoes too. So that's
After hearing all that, I'm almost surprised it's not more expensive.
yeah.
You know?
I will say, if maybe
Yeah.
there was some electrical work in there, maybe it talks or did a little bit more, then I could definitely see it being more expensive. But
Mhm.
probably because the inner workings are pretty basic, it's pretty cheap to make, if I had to guess.
So it's probably, I'm guessing it's like just like a hollow plastic shell then, right?
Yeah,
Like, 'cause-
I would guess it's some kind of like rubberized,
yeah.
like outer, like the skin or something. I don't really want to know. I'm not gonna
Still
know.
though, the catch here is this is life size. That's what's
Yeah.
ultimately like no and no.
Oh, I mean, it's
No.
gonna be as tall as my daughter, and I don't need that.
Yeah. No.
So creepy. You just be walking by it in your house, and every time you think there's some like demonic presence.
Oh, there would be holes in my wall from it going through it. First reaction is kick, then ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the little girls.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know my daughter. I know her stomps because we have a crawl space, so I can hear her footsteps from across the house. So
Uh-huh.
if I hear something a little bit lighter, then we have issues.
Creepy.
But it does lead us in. The next one I'm pretty excited for. Fans are bringing back Friday the 13th, the game, with new resurrected builds. Kind
I
of,
thought you would be excited for this. That's why I added
yeah,
it.
that's really cool. I always did like the idea of having a good slasher game where you get to play as the slasher rather than a character trying to survive it. Growing up, like I said, watching you play like Resident Evil and stuff, and then I, grew up and I started playing the games as they continued, and then Days Gone, stuff like that. I really like the games, but it is kind of a nice change to be the actual villain or the bad guy in the game. So I do like it,
Yeah.
but this one is the multiplayer slasher, Friday the 13th. The game, back in the day, came to a sad end in 2018. They couldn't get legal issues fixed or figured out in time. It was delisted, servers shutting down, stuff like that. Then moved on to Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game, still going on. People seem to really enjoy it, so I think that kind of helped ignite, that something like that could work. So they went with something, like that. But obviously, horror fans don't ever let anything die. And a group of them have gotten together to resurrect Friday the 13th, the game, with a mudded build that will be available for free. That's my favorite part, for free. But it is Friday the 13th, the game resurrected. So nice little play on words there, because obviously Jason's come back 1,000 times, and then it's the game coming back to life from being shot down. So it's a cool little play that they did there. I like that little nod. And it's not only intended to bring the game unofficially back to life, but also add brand new playable content to the mix, including skins and characters from Jason X, my personal favorite, because how could he not like a almost Power Ranger-esque Jason? Like, that's pretty awesome. And I don't know if you guys watched the original Power Rangers, but
I did.
Yeah, the original villain, what was it, Zed, back in the day? Mm-hmm. That's what he reminded me of, the super chrome mask with like just the chrome build and everything on top of the red. That was really cool. Plus, I had one of my favorite horror movie kills of all time when that girl got sucked through the grate into outer space. That was one of my favorite horror movie kills of all time. And it wasn't even a kill. It was just happenstance. So that made it even better.
Nice.
A 2009 remake and even fan films. Team behind the fan Made Build announced yesterday that the release date will be revealed on the 15th. So coming up here pretty soon. With Resurrected finally launching for PC, they have noted a series of response tweets that a console version of the mod is something they are currently considering. So it could possibly be coming out for things like Xbox and PlayStation. That would be really awesome. Because I don't own a computer, so I would like to play this game.
Right.
Here are some quotes that the developers have said. Everything from the base game is included. Savini Jason is included too. We will be hosting our own servers, so private servers, which will be really nice because then you're going to get hands-on people working on them all the time. Hopefully not a lot of crashes and stuff. It will get a continuous updates post-launch. What doesn't nowadays. All content that did not make it in the official game will be in our mod. So that'll be kind of cool because then you can change it up as the game goes. You won't need base gameplay to enjoy our mod. The download will be available on our Discord server. Okay, yeah. So sounds like they got some good stuff going that could potentially lead to a good deal with a major company that they can then mass produce it. So that's pretty exciting. It would be nice to have a slasher game out there that's not just like a $10 game out of the basket and over in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is just like another example of how horror fans always come through. Horror fans are crazy. They will put money and their words and their love behind everything that they're passionate about, and seeing it cross over into like the game world is really cool. So it sounds really fun.
I wish that would have happened with the new Crow movie. I really wish that would have been a poll before it happened. But
we don't know how bad it is yet.
It's not even.
We know it's bad. We just don't know how bad.
It's not even that it's bad. It's just, I mean, The Crow went on for what? 5 movies after the initial first one went.
Really?
Yeah, there was.
I didn't know it went that far.
The last one I can remember was with David Boreanaz from Angel and Buffy, and then the kid, I can never remember his name, from Terminator 2, who played John Connor, and he was in American History X.
It's Edward Furlong.
Yeah, he played the Crow character.
And, oh my God.
Yeah, it was.
Wouldn't that have been like when he was all messed up on drugs, probably?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Oh, I guess that's fitting for The Crow.
it's mid 2000s. Yeah, I mean, in reality, the first two were the only two that were great movies, and they were in their own kind of echelon because you have Brandon Lee, obviously, who passed away in the first one, and then the second one was a different actor, but it was a completely different story. So they didn't try to continue the same story. It was a different story, and then that's
Yeah,
just
that's
what
smart.
they've done ever since. And I'm hoping that that's this one too, and they're not trying to remake the original.
I'm pretty sure they're remaking it. I think
Yeah.
that Brandon Lee's family is like upset about it.
His sister would be for sure because
His sister, yeah.
that's his legacy, and it shouldn't have been touched. Even Ernie Hudson, who played the cop in the first one, obviously great movie actor, has been in a lot of movies, Ghostbusters, stuff like that.
Just saw him on the big screen yesterday.
Yeah, he has stated that he loves Bill Skarsgård. He loves, that they're doing work, but he thinks that this should have been Brandon Lee's legacy and they should have left it alone. So he has come out and has been quoted stating that he will not be seeing this movie. He will not watch this movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
But I don't know. We'll see. Fingers crossed. But I mean, if I wanted to watch emo Joker, I would just watch Jared Leto.
Agreed. I mean, I have to see it because I have to, but I'm not looking forward to it.
Theater watch it. That may be a wait till it comes out and I can gauge it and then spend money on it if I decide I like it after that. But
that's mine and Tammy's current plan for the new Scream.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even buy it if I wanted to. I've never enjoyed the Scream series. I'll probably get shunned from a lot of communities after that, but I don't find them scary. I don't find them entertaining. It's just the same stuff over and over again. It's hard for me to be afraid of some non-supernatural character when it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I have weapons all over my house, so like you can come into my house, but there's a very good chance you're leaving without a limb.
Yeah.
But on another note too, Russell Crowe has updates on the Pope's Exorcist sequel and a possible trilogy. I mean, be good for him. I've always enjoyed his movies. I haven't got to see the Pope's Exorcist. I have wanted to watch it though. It looks really good. I do like more supernatural type horror movies too. They are more entertaining to me. Something let you escape reality for a little while. But Russell Crowe in the movie plays a real life exorcist, Gabriel Amorth. Amorth?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how. I mean, I haven't seen it either, but whenever I hear people reviewing it, they say Father Amorth.
Well, and he's Italian, right? So amore, so Amorth, yeah.
Look at you.
In the Pope's Exorcist, which made 76 million in theaters last year. That's impressive, considering it was just fresh out of, COVID and the lockdown and stuff. I knew a lot of people that didn't want to go to movies.
Yeah, there's still people who haven't gone to the movies. Was that a kitty?
That was Jack who decided that the table was now his for a moment.
It's okay. My cat Nandor makes guest appearances.
Yeah, mine are occupying the living room at the moment. Yeah, because if I lock them in a room, you'd hear them through the entire house. They are not quiet cats.
I totally feel your pain.
But yeah, pretty impressive that it did what it did, and then immediately when it was on Netflix, was top of the charts. We had learned that almost exactly 1 year ago. Screen Gems was working on a sequel, but haven't really heard anything much since then. But with the recent chant with getting into the whole, exorcism
Firm
stuff.
film.
Yeah.
Chat chant.
But with Virgin Media Television's The 6 o'clock show brought our attention by MovieWeb. Russell Crowe himself provided a fresh update on the future of our favorite Vespa riding exorcist, which is one of my favorite features of that entire thing. Just such an unassuming thing, but also just very normal for that area. So to us, it's funny, but to them, it's just 100% normal.
Yeah, I used to have, just to interject really quick, I used to have a friend who had I don't know if it was a Vespa necessarily, but she had a scooter instead of a car, and we'd scoot around the town. And I freaking loved it. It was so fun. And like kids thought it was so cool, and they'd always like stop doing whatever and like wave and yell and stuff. It was dope. I'd rather do that than drive a car for sure. Okay, continue.
I have more of a Mr. Mackey approach on that stuff, and I just don't think people should be scooting. Okay. But Russell Crowe himself has provided fresh updates that a trilogy had originally been planned at Screen Gym, but a change of studio heads has muddled up the works. So it doesn't sound like they're sure if they want to do a trilogy, but it does sound like they're most likely going to do at least a sequel, if I had to guess. He explained to the show that when they asked if he would be reprising the role of Gabriel Amorth, that's in discussion at the moment. The original producers, they originally got the kickoff from the studio, not just for one sequel, but for two. But there's been a change of studio heads at the moment, so things are a little kind of up in the air. So what it sounds like is it's not necessarily they want to do a series with him, it sounds like, but maybe just a series in general. Possibly just following the inner workings of that style of, movie or exorcism, something along those lines. But I mean, we'll see. It'd be pretty cool. I love Russell Crowe and anything he does. So if he wants to keep doing it, then I mean, I'll watch it.
Did you see that movie from a few years ago where he gets like road rage and just goes on a rampage?
Yeah.
He was actually terrifying in that movie. I thought it was going to be a really dumb movie. And then I was just like actually scared shitless the whole time.
Well, and to me, because that's something that's real. That's something that can happen. You can literally be going on your way to work and have one person having the worst day of their life, and you just happen to do something by accident, something along those lines, and it could change everything.
Yeah.
And that's just something that could happen. I enjoy those types of movies. Those are the ones that make me sit back and think and really double check things before I do things a lot of the time, because I'm like, I don't really want to get put in that situation if I don't have to. So I'm going to just sit back for a second.
Totally. I know exactly what you mean.
But he said that that he was quoted saying, "We set that character up so that you could take him out and put him into a lot of different circumstances." He continued on to say that, and remember that the man that's based on, Gabriel Amorth, he wrote 12 books. So we have more than enough source material to do one or two more of those films, but that probably won't be until next year. In other words, it sounds likely that The Pope's Exorcist 2 will eventually get off the ground, but it could be a bit before we have the next update. So that'd be kind of interesting to just kind of follow along. So
yeah, like I said, I hadn't seen the first movie, but after reading this, I'm probably going to watch it. And every time someone has brought it up over the last year, it seems like pretty favorable reviews, where people went in thinking it was going to be kind of dumb, and then they were like, actually, I was kind of surprised it was better than I thought it was going to be. So
yeah, I've heard the same thing, and I think it's because everybody has had these buildups of movies like Exorcist, and like they try to reprise it and everything like that. But I think this is kind of a refreshing turn onto something that we've already seen. So I think the fact that people had such low expectations going into it and it turned out to be pretty good, I think that has a lot to do with the writing and the acting in the movie. So
that's a good point, especially with any kind of exorcism movie. So many of them are just like paint by numbers, the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
So doing anything new with an Exorcist movie is like definitely catches my attention. Did you ever see it, Tammy?
No, but I think part of the problem is like I'll tend to shy away from anything that could possibly have like a religious bent to it. And
Oh
then I
yeah.
guess when I see the Pope, it's like, meh.
Yeah.
But then you like put that against like him. I'm like, well, I could see him kind of being like maybe like the black sheep of the group. You know what I mean? So, and I remember Mark liked it a lot. I think, but
Yeah, Mark liked it.
I, exorcism movies just. I'm not going to seek them out. Like if we were having like a really dry spell and I came across this, I might watch it. But I haven't sought it out or anything.
Yeah.
Not my jam, really.
Totally. Yeah, duh. That makes sense. Religious horror.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want me to just go ahead and go on to the movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the last bit of our
Okay.
haunting headlines. I just thought there's so many like theater releases coming out right now and
Yeah.
upcoming. So it's probably good just to like kind of warn people so they don't
Yeah.
miss stuff.
Okay. Yeah, we do have quite a few movies coming out this month. Pretty stoked for a lot of them, actually. But we have First Omen is coming out in theaters April 5th, so that will be out very soon.
This weekend.
Yeah, that'll be something to do if you guys decide you want to go watch another Omen movie.
I think it looks cool actually because it has the girl
The
from
girl from The
Servant
Servant. I know.
Yeah.
That's what's making me want to go. Is her.
and Game of Thrones.
Yep,
Did you know that's her?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nice.
Her name is like Tiger Lily Free or something, right? Something like that. Tiger something
Yeah,
free.
it's Tiger Free or so. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's something super weird.
Yeah. And then we have Sting coming out on April 12th. I don't know if I've seen any previews for that one.
I'm
I think
excited
that's
for that one.
one of the spider ones, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Or
spider
something
one.
something with legs that stings. I don't know, but it looks really good.
Probably why I haven't seen it.
You don't like spiders?
I'm okay with them at a distance.
I'm not even no. I don't and I'm not even okay with them at a distance, but I'll go. I'll see it.
Is it because of that Sal Pugid that was on your ceiling when you were a little baby?
That's probably where the trauma came from.
We have these crazy things in the desert that are like half scorpion, half spider, but they run really fast and they can jump.
No, with the running. No.
And one like crawled, we had bunk beds and Dylan was on the top bunk. So he was like, I'm safe because I'm on the top bunk. And then later on he was sleeping and his dad came and got me and he's like, come here, look. And we were looking because it was on the ceiling above him and we're just laughing our asses off. You're not safe.
Nope. Yeah, they I don't even think like they're technically an arachnid. I think they don't have a stinger, so they're not technically a scorpion, but they have a giant pincer, and they're non-venomous. But they're literally look like someone genetically modified a scorpion with a spider, and that's what they look like.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's probably where that started. It's probably why I don't like them very much.
And then we'd put them in like a glass, and they'd get all pissed off with their little pincers and be like, ah!
Yeah, very aggressive.
They are very aggressive.
They'll chase you. Like
What are they so mad about? Like seriously, and why do they need
living in the desert?
Yeah,
like the rest of us were
out there.
Yeah.
It was hot, dry, no food.
No water.
Kids in bunk beds.
All right. So next we have In Flames comes to theater on April 12th. In Flames is a Pakistani horror film that utilizes every opportunity to address the world's issues, making it an intricate story, but nonetheless an engaging one. The film, which was released in many regions last year, is regarded as a slow burn. Genre-bending horror picture that any movie fan should see.
I see some red flags is what I see.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
it's just kind of vague. It's a weird, vague description.
And for them to say slow burn, that could mean two things to me. It could be a nice way of saying it was really slow and boring, or they could say it was more of a noir type, like stuff happened, but it was very verbal, not jump scares, very intellectual scary rather than scary.
Entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm excited just because it's Pakistani, and I don't think there's many Pakistani horror films, or at least not that I can think of off the top of my head. So I'll check it out.
If it's coming out of that region, I mean, they could just be really starting with stuff. So, I mean, it could be the ground floor for them, and they're just starting to get their ball rolling. So, but the fact that they say, they go over a lot of the world's issues, to me says it's probably something more along the lines of a real lifestyle horror rather than supernatural style horror. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Guess I'll have to watch to find out.
It's getting a theatrical release, so although that doesn't guarantee it's going to be good, but somebody's behind it.
Yeah, I was going to say they're willing to put some money into it, so
yeah,
got to be something. The next one I'm super excited for. I love the idea of this story. I even texted you about this. Like, Abigail comes to theaters April 19th. A very cool story about a group of people that kidnap this little girl and think that they're going to ransom her for money, and turns out they're wrong.
Lunch.
Very, very wrong. But it looks like from the trailer that Abigail happens to be a vampire, and they are now locked in the house with a murderous vampire and have no way to get out. So kind of a cool little idea. Like, I know that the basic movie plan is pretty easy to tell, so that to me says that maybe there's going to be much more of a story to it. Like, could get deeper. Maybe Dracula's her dad. We don't know.
We don't know.
Right? They're trying to ransom her from Dracula. That'd be cool.
And by the time
Gary Oldman,
he probably just sits there and laughs.
But the fact that she does all this while wearing a tutu is just the creme of the top.
Very, very Interview with the Vampire.
No, it's not, is it? I haven't seen the trailer.
Just the little girl.
It's a little girl.
Oh, yeah.
When Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, she seems very unassuming until
she
she eats you.
Very porcelain doll-esque.
Yes,
This young little girl, with the curly cues and the really expensive, like, old school Victorian dress, and like, hey, guess what? She's crazy.
Awesome. I know, it's funny because we used to always share trailers. Me and Dylan and my mom. I think my mom finally stopped sending me trailers because I was like, I don't watch them anymore. But we used to just love watching trailers for everything. And I finally gave it. I don't remember which movie it was that sent me over the edge. There was a movie that I was like, it literally gave away every single good thing that happened in the movie. So I stopped watching them.
You didn't accidentally see this one in going to the movies lately?
No, because when I go to the movies, I close my eyes and my ears. Right. I bring earplugs.
Okay.
And I purposefully try to show up 15 minutes late because that's how long it takes for frickin' previews nowadays.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. All right. We got a few more coming out. So we also have Night of the Harvest comes to select theaters on April 19th. Night of the Harvest, written and directed by Ryan Calloway, is an up-and-coming horror movie that blends the traditional serial killer premise with something more sinister. When Aubrey and her friends go geocaching in the middle of the woods, they come across an old cornfield that is rumored to be haunted. I can say that's creepy because that's what me and my friends used to do, and we were in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere a lot by ourselves.
Yeah.
So
I've never gone geocaching, but I've always wanted to. It sounds like right up my alley.
It's more about the adventure than the actual destination.
There's there's lots of TikToks and YouTubes about people that go and just show you some of the really weird stuff that they find. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it pretty much is a situation where you go, you can take something out and you put something in. So it's kind of like a little exchange center, but some of the things that people put in there, a little weird. And some, I mean, you never know. You might pick up like a cursed item or something like that.
You never know.
That'd be my luck. Yeah.
Get the unlucky rabbit's foot.
Yeah.
All right, then we got Humane. Comes to theaters on April 26th. In a world where ecological conditions are deteriorating due to overpopulation, the government has implemented a euthanasia program in which 20% of the human population is to be sacrificed for the sake of others. But who would be willing to give up their lives for strangers? That one sounds like it's just going to happen.
So is it voluntary or is it like a lottery or I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I would assume that it's probably going to be a situation where, I mean, it may just be volunteer at first, but then it may be a situation that people start to get selected like Hunger Games status.
Oh, snaps.
I mean, it's essentially what it is. I mean, you're choosing people to die to, preserve everyone else in some way, shape, or form.
I know there's this, and then like lots of movies coming out about Civil War coming out recently. You can tell like what people are afraid of right now.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Just those movies that they put out there to tell everybody, hey, this is what we're doing. Just so you know, don't be surprised when it happens.
That's what it is.
It is an election year, so yeah.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dynamic Assassin.
Yeah, good job.
Great. Well, you thought you were off the hook, but because you're our guest, I'm also going to make you go first for our Fright Bites. So if you've been watching any horror movies, reading any horror comics, playing horror games, whatever you've been doing that's horror related and you want to bring it up, just let us know.
Yeah. Really, like I said a little bit ago, with the kid, been having her a lot lately, and then working 2 jobs, I haven't been able to do too much horror movie related.
What a slacker! What a slacker!
I know. I will say.
Shame.
My girlfriend at the moment is not very versed in movies. And so I'm getting to show her movies for the first time that I've watched 1,000 times.
Fun.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So she got to experience The Crow, the original Crow, for the first time. And then I know it's not too horror movie, but Sweeney Todd. Like, it's good.
That's horror.
Yeah. So far we're
They're making meat pies out of people.
Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty horrific.
Just seems like every store I go to. I mean, I don't.
Oh, is Tammy breaking up for you, Dylan? Okay, yeah, she's breaking up for me too.
Yeah.
Am I breaking up now?
Oh, now you're good.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to switch internet. Hold on a minute.
Yeah. All good.
Well, not even letting me. Oh, wait, here we go. Sorry, we're having a snowstorm right now, so.
Yeah, you're good. I'm just writing down the time. That's something you'll have to do, Dylan, if you do podcasting. Is like write down.
Is this?
Yeah.
Is this any better?
Yes.
Is this any better?
Oh,
okay.
Wait, you slowed up a little bit, and your image is getting fuzzy now.
Can you hear me?
Hold on.
Just throw something at your cat.
Yeah, scared her too.
Rude.
Any better?
Hold on. No, wait. There's the Jack.
Hi, Jack. Oh, he's terrifying. I can see his little like glowing cat eyes.
Yeah, you see that his ears are flipped too.
Oh yeah. Why are they flipped?
It's his breed. They have flipped ears, and then they have 6 toes on each paw.
Oh, I forgot what's that called again? Like
Scottish Highland.
Is that really, you really have a Scottish Highland cat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's purebred too.
What?
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's thick too. He's like 15 pounds.
Damn, that's bigger than my Maine Coon.
Yeah, he's just solid. Like, it's not fat. He's just a solid cat, just the way he's built. Because, like, the other cat I can pick up, like, nothing. Like, he feels like he's almost as much as my dog.
That's crazy. Tammy's still freezing up.
I don't know what to do because we're having a snowstorm right now. This is probably as good as it's going to get.
Yeah. Okay. Did you want to do the thing where we stop this one and try and restart a new call? Or do you think it's just not going to? No, I don't care.
I
it's
mean,
easy splicing them together. Is it hard for you when you do the YouTube?
No, it's fine. It's just that I tried my hotspot and the house internet, and they're both bad, and I think it's just the weather.
Yeah. Okay, then we can just keep trying and then see if we get cut off. Hopefully not.
I won't say anything.
Stupid. Okay, no, we're not doing that. Okay. Okay, so Dylan saw The Crow and Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, and then I did find a little we were at the mall and found these little like plushy characters that are out now. They're like Doctor. They're like they've got like the old school like doctor masks on.
Oh, stuff. Plague Doctor.
Yeah, Plague Doctor. Like I found like a whole bunch of those plushies at the mall. We found some of them. I got my girlfriend one for her birthday because it was adorable, and it had a little bird on its head and had an axe in its hand. But
I think I know which ones you're talking about. Those are adorable.
I thought it was pretty cool because that's a cool little idea to have. To where originally people would think that's a little freaky, a little creepy. You have literally a Plague Doctor mask, but then now it's becoming so norm to have stuff like this that like it's just everywhere.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny how that happens. Very cool. Well, Tammy, would you like to go next and let us know what you've been watching?
Well, yeah, as long as you can hear me. Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear, or I can hear you. I guess I shouldn't speak for Dynamic Assassin.
I've watched like a million things lately, so I'm just going to go through it real quick. I watched Jonah. I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. Wasn't anything spectacular. I watched Night Shift, which I said was my first 5-star movie of the year. That.
Okay, you're good.
All right. I also saw Lovely, Dark, and Deep, which is about the strange disappearances in the forest, which I loved. I gave that 4.5 stars. I went to the theater and saw Late Night with the Devil. Loved it. Did you guys see this yet?
I did.
What did you think? You loved it. Good. I gave that 4.5 stars. Somewhere Quiet. I can't even remember it. I gave it 2 stars. I don't even remember it. You'll Never Find Me. I gave that 5 stars. So this is my second 5-star of the year. It's so good. And I can't wait to talk to you about it, Jessica. I saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. Landon liked it. And I think it's the best since the first one.
Wow.
Life of Belle. What?
Oh, we were saying ooh and wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Life of Belle sucked. I gave it 1 star. Snow Valley sucked. I watched it because Barbara Crampton's in it, but she's only in it for like 30 seconds, so don't let that fool you. This isn't not necessarily horror, but I watched that Quiet on the Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV.
That's horror. That's just real life horror.
Yeah, it's very upsetting, and I felt just really gross.
I don't want to watch it because it's going to ruin my childhood.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly.
I've got a lot of stuff that's already been ruined for me in life. I don't need my childhood to be ruined too.
I know, like the Coreys. We've already had the Coreys ruined, which I hate. So sad.
It's just like all this stuff is coming out now. I mean, I'm too old, but my oldest kids would have, been the right age to watch this. So I remember it being on TV and stuff, but just like, I mean, this stuff is coming out now. It's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just Hollywood is gonna. implode on itself, I think. I hope it does anyway.
Well, I don't think stuff like that is really going on with kids anymore. It seems like now they take so many precautions when it comes to kid actors, like even how many hours they work and stuff. So
I think really after the Epstein thing, all that, and I think that really put a huge magnifying glass over that kind of situation. So I think there's a lot of, between Epstein and Weinstein, like there's just a lot of, I think there's a lot of people looking now. And so I think it's becoming less and less prominent. People are realizing that they can talk about it more and more and not just letting things happen and being afraid to say anything. So
yeah,
I mean, anything like that is despicable. I mean, I have a 6-year-old daughter, and like I could only imagine if anyone tried to do anything to her, there would not be some, oh yeah, you're gonna give me some money, cool. No, it's gonna be, no, there's just no more life for you now. So
yeah, sucks for you.
Yeah, and I like how you think. I really do. It's so disgusting that, like, Nickelodeon, they were not completely clueless on this, but these guys were cash cows. And it's like the Michael Jackson thing, which I'm sorry if either of you are like, don't believe in the Michael Jackson thing, but I totally
No, I do.
And
that guy was messed up.
Yeah,
well, it's to bring it into a newer light too. Like you guys probably aren't wrestling fans, but I've been a wrestling fan since I was a baby. But like current wrestling, like all the stuff that's happening with Vince McMahon and coming to light about him, like
what's coming to light with him?
Yeah,
haven't heard.
He's basically in the middle of a lawsuit right now for like essentially sex trafficking, forcing women to pay for things, or not forcing women to do things for pay, like literally signing DNRs to do things which are deplorable and despicable, not just with him, but with pretty much anybody he deemed he wanted to happen with. They would have to and couldn't say anything as long as he was giving them money. So there's a reason he's now actually no longer part of the company at all. Like they don't even like, they came out with a video game. It was already done with production and was set to release like right after all this stuff came out. And they literally went into the video game and released a patch to blur him out of every scene that he's in.
These megalomaniacs, man, like the Vince McMahons and
money
the Trumps,
and power,
Weinsteins and the Epsteins. Yeah.
I did not hear about that. That's crazy.
You know what though? Like in my first marriage, like I had to be into wrestling. So we're talking through like the 90s.
Yeah.
And I like went to see wrestling, but he always just rubbed me the wrong way, like, and I couldn't exactly say why, but I'm not surprised to hear that something's finally coming out about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was hard to tell with him because you could never tell with wrestling what was kayfabe and what was real.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you never knew if he was really that person, but then you'd see some things behind the scenes where he seems really nice. He's very caring towards people, but obviously anybody can act like that for a few minutes, especially if they know there's cameras around. So like, doesn't say much, but the fact that like his daughter's now implemented in some of it, and like
Stephanie, right? Isn't that her name?
Stephanie.
Yeah.
And then that's the reason that apparently like Shane McMahon left for a long time, because his dad was apparently trying to push that kind of stuff on him, and he downright refused and would argue with him and fight with him in the middle of conference rooms, and that's why he wasn't a part of the company for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it shows what kind of person his son is, which is good, because it
I was gonna say
come down to his child.
Yeah, so, good on him.
Yeah.
Still though. Yeah.
That's true horror.
Yes, exactly. We went and saw Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire, which I'm all behind the pink Godzilla. I absolutely love it.
You and your pink.
If you saw the other one, you've seen this one.
Yeah, I figured.
However, Mothra does make an appearance, so that was pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yay, I love
And
Mothra. Obviously.
Yeah, I just, you know what? It was actually, I would have enjoyed it a lot more, but I can't stand the main woman, the mom of the little girl, and I just
Yeah.
hate her. And of course, she's a star of this one too, and I just like I liked it except for her. And then I watched Cold Meat yesterday, and I absolutely love that, and would totally recommend it. Except so it's like a Wendigo movie, and it has a really good creature design, but there's like 2 scenes with the creature in it, which is really disappointing. But the movie,
Yeah.
like, I still loved it. I gave it 4 stars, but it's just disappointing in that way because there's a lot of buildup, and then it comes in, does its thing, and leaves, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
But
Where did you watch that?
I watched it on Mark's Plex.
Okay.
You might have to
Well,
rent it. I'm not. I let my Shutter. I don't have AMC Plus right now, so I don't actually know where it's playing. But watch it for sure if you can.
yeah, I will.
And
Because I
that's
have
it.
access to Mark's Plex. Sorry, Dylan. Sucks for you. All right.
Take
Well,
it
I'll
away,
go next.
Jessica.
Yes. I've been watching a million movies lately, and I know we're going to be doing a Rotten Roundtable on the Horrorcast whenever we record next. So I was just going to bring up a few over here that I'll probably not bring up over there. So for Easter, I watched 2 movies. One was called Easter Bloody Easter, where a woman must protect her small town from the jackalope and his army of devilish bunnies as they embark on a murder spree over the Easter weekend.
Wait, that's his name, just the jackalope?
Do you know what a jackalope is?
Yeah, I know what a jackalope is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just like the jackalope. It's about the jackalope.
That's awesome.
From over here, my way. But as one of our listeners pointed out, Michael, he said that this was cheaply charming, which I totally agree with and thought was an apt way to describe it because it's clearly low budget. Like all the bunny stuff are like little stuffed bunnies, things of that nature. But it's not super great in quality or acting or anything, but it's still like fun and watchable. It's kind of like what Dylan was describing earlier, like so bad that it's good and it's fun. But then after that, I watched Easter Evil, which takes place in Las Vegas, and we follow a go-go dancer and her best friend who is a call girl. And they don't bring up the fact that it's a drag queen. I think it's supposed to be just a regular call girl, but we can tell that it's obviously a drag queen. It's supposed to be funny. And the 2 of them are terrorized by a giant evil rabbit. And for me, the only thing that made this watchable was that whenever my husband walked in the room, he would stop and watch the movie for a few seconds and then look at me with a very disappointed look on his face and say, "Why are you wasting your time watching this?" And it's so bad that I watched it over like the entire day. You know what I mean? I like watched some at breakfast and I watched some at lunch, and then I like went to bed and finished it because I couldn't watch it all in one sitting, even though it was only 1 hour and 12 minutes long. And every time he'd come in the room, he's like, "Why are you still watching this? What's happening?" It was very bad. It was like someone holding a handheld camera. And so it's like shaking a little bit. And then whenever they finally did put it on a tripod, it would just be like the 2 characters sitting on the bed in this motel room talking. That's like all that happened throughout basically the whole movie until the very end.
I, for the most part, can't stand POV movies. I cannot stand like Cloverfield, that whole thing. Like I can't. To me, it's just frustrating because if I wanted to do that, I would much rather just listen to it like on an audiobook, because it's like I can't see anything anyways, so I might as well just listen to it. Like, don't make it something visual, because all I'm seeing is the floor. I'm seeing things go blah, 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 blah. Like I don't watch that. That's just a waste of time for me. But like that sounds.
This is like that last movie. It was rough. The last movie was like what I think of when I think of like a low budget B horror movie. This is what I think of when like it's a kid is bored and they are trying to record a movie for fun for the first time or something.
Frogman? Frogman was like that.
No, this is worse than Frogman.
Oh, it's gotta be bad then.
Yeah, this is bad. And like the giant rabbit in the description is just somebody in an old Easter bunny suit. Not even a scary one, just one of those
I
like
was gonna
white
say,
Easter
some of
bunny
those
suits
old
from the
Easter
mall.
bunny suits are
Yes, they are.
terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
shouldn't have said old. It's like old, like crappy, but not old, like cool and terrifying. It just looks like a regular bunny, in the mall, mall bunny from
Mall bunny.
2000s,
All
not
bunnies
from like back in
attacks.
the day. And like whoever is in the bunny suit is shorter than like the drag queen, obviously. So they're like, oh my God, it's giant. It's 8 feet tall. But the drag queen's like fighting with him and he has to like look down at him. It's like really bad. It is so bad. But yeah, they're mostly just talking the whole time and it's really boring and they're overacting. And yeah, nobody watched that movie. The year is still young, but I'm assuming this will be my lowest movie of the year. I can't see me watching something worse than this.
Well,
But
you win
never
you win
know.
a special prize for making it through that one, though, for sure.
Yeah, I know. Jim's like, just give up. I'm like, no, it's Easter. I'm gonna watch this bad Easter movie. So, and then other than that, I watched a movie called Slay on Tubi, which
how was that?
It's really cute. Somebody described it as like From Dusk Till Dawn meets Tu Wong Fu, which I think is probably pretty accurate. I mean, it's not as awesome as From Dusk Till Dawn, but
Yeah,
these people get stuck in a bar and they're fighting off vampires. But it follows 4 drag queens who are all from the same drag house. If you guys are familiar with drag at all, it's like they have drag families and that's their house, kind of like Game of Thrones. And it's compiled of 4 RuPaul contestants. So I like know all of because I love RuPaul. So I like know all of the drag queens. I was like, oh my God, I gotta watch this. And they accidentally book a show at a podunk bar out in the middle of nowhere. They think it's like a gay bar, but it's actually like a very masculine, like cowboy bar. And so they're going to leave, but then they get raided by vampires and they all have to like work together and grow and, character development and accept gay people and things of that nature. So it was like a feel good story and obviously not scary at all. The vampire effects and stuff were cool. And some of the jokes were really funny. And like one of the drag queens gets turned into a vampire at one point and they're like glittering and they're like, whoa, it's true what they said in what's that dumb movie? Twilight, right? And he's like, no, this is just glitter foundation. So stuff like that. But it's sweet and it was actually well made. I was surprised by the production value. Yeah. The acting's like awesome. Okay. Yeah. And that's on Tubi, so y'all go over to Tubi, the best streaming service ever, and watch some Slay.
It just reminds me a lot of what was that movie, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse?
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of
feel good.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It breaks up like all the actual horror.
Yeah. I mean, horror doesn't have to be serious. It can be, but like it doesn't need to be constantly serious because people inherently aren't serious all the time. So
yeah.
True that.
But that's gonna do it for our Fright Bites. So now we're gonna get into the Echoes from the Abyss. I almost said our movie review. I forgot we have one more segment. So we're gonna go through our Echoes from the Abyss, where our listeners get to chime in, and I'm gonna go ahead and let Tammy take it away.
Well, hold on a second because I switched computers and now I don't have it up. So hold on just a second.
Unforgivable.
I know.
Death Proof, right up there in like top 3.
Like top 3 of your favorite movies of all time?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's mostly because of Dad.
Did he like that one?
He loved that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he was a fan of that whole duplex one of the Planet Terror and Death Proof. And I like Death Proof because it was really different. It was just kind of the stalker. I just
Yeah.
hated the ending of that movie. That's the only thing I hated.
You hated the ending.
I hated that, like, this guy who's been through obviously multiple crashes and his body's been beaten up and hurt and like should be used to getting like hurt, and like the way he just screams and cries and whines at the end. It's like, dude, this whole character build through the entire movie and it's just gone.
Well, that's the thing is, Kara's death proof, so he is like doesn't really get bashed up that much. Even in that one accident, he broke like one bone
He
where
was
like
like,
four people got like lost legs and shit.
yeah, he's like the egg inside of those like school experiments where they like put him in the box inside with tissue paper and all that stuff. So everything else gets damaged, but he's fine. But he's still just an egg.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love
Good.
the ending. I thought it was hilarious. I love every time he cries. I think it's so funny.
Well, I mean, I love Zoe, so Zoe kicking
Yes.
ass is awesome. So
Hell yeah. Okay, go ahead, Tammy.
all right. All right. Echoes from the Abyss. So, regarding Death Proof, Nicole Trewick says, I have to admit, even though it has nothing to do with this movie, I got excited about the tangent with Sidney Poitier. He is actually my favorite actor. I think he was next level brilliant in every performance he gave. I agree. The first time I ever saw him was Shoot to Kill, which I saw at 10. It's still my favorite movie of his. It's not horror, but a thriller that gets quite violent at times. It also stars Tom Berenger and Kirstie Alley, not to mention many horror alums like Clancy Brown, Richard Masur, and Andrew Robinson. I don't think it's streaming anywhere, but if anyone has watched it and you get to, I highly recommend it. As for Death Proof, I agree that the scene at the beginning with the two cars hitting each other and the different perspective of all the girls dying is my favorite scene in the whole movie. I love how Tarantino broke that scene up, and instead of just scanning over each person how they died, he reverses it and shows each death individually. It was such a great way to show it and kind of gives respect to each character and their moment of death. Yeah. Second favorite scene, the lap dance. Yeah, LOL. Vanessa, who plays Arlene, I think that changed all of our lives, I think, is extremely sexy doing her dance. She's always been a huge crush of mine, so that scene lives rent free in my head. I couldn't agree more. And then for our book review of Bright Young Women, Nicole again says, finally finished. I've never heard of this book before you guys brought it up, but it totally sounds up my alley. And I think it's up my alley. And I think Christine did a great job. You should definitely have her back on the show. Aw, well, that
Heck
was
yeah.
really nice. Yeah. Laura says, currently reading the book so I can listen to the episode. I'm enjoying it so far. I just finished the first section with the character from the sorority. I'm looking forward to see how this character and the second character are going to meet up in the present. Yeah. I'll try to watch Luckiest Girl live during my spring break and report back. All right.
Please do.
All right. And for the main event, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Mike Merriman said, it's been said many times that the excess of the 80s come from those who grew up watching horror and sci-fi in the 50s and 60s, putting their own modern spin on them. To me, that's totally what Killer Clowns is, a parody of the UFO invasion movies. It's so well done, schlock that delivers on every level.
Yes, I agree.
Greg Bazzelli, absolutely adore this film. I have hardcore nostalgia glasses on with this one. I remember seeing it shortly after it was released on VHS. Due to my oversaturation of horror at an early age, it never scared me, but I found it comical in the best ways. The Chiodo brothers have always been a favorite of mine with their special effects, and they are showcased here. Bizarre, funny, and downright weird. Love, love. So what else have the Chiodo brothers done that I've seen?
Critters, probably. That's the biggest one.
Yeah. I'm not sure actually. I was gonna look into it more, and then of course I didn't.
Oh,
So.
he did Ernest Scared Stupid too.
Oh my god, I love that movie.
Which is kind of funny to me because I watched both Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Ernest Scared Stupid around the same age for the first time. I was more scared of Ernest Scared Stupid than I was Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I
It
haven't
was-
seen it in a long time. I can't
It's
even
the
remember
troll.
it.
The troll is creepy and just
Mm.
freaky, and something about the just the whole ambiance they had around him, and most of the scenes were just, it made my spine tingle.
Oh yeah. I'm looking it up. That's creepy.
Yeah.
Love it. Man, I miss practical effects.
Right? So great.
Don't
Not
we
like they
all?
don't exist, but they don't exist like this.
No.
Oh yeah.
Okay, continue. Sorry, Tammy.
No, that's fine. Michael Watkins, I know that it followed the format of the original Blob. That's what I was thinking the whole time, I've got to say. I'm like, this is the Blob. That's what and I love the Blob. So, but there's nothing, there's nothing special about that. Freudian slip. There's something special about this movie. The Chiodo brothers put a lot of love into it.
Damn, Tammy. Wow.
All right, Nicole Trewick again. We've got to have her on the show next, Jessica. Seriously.
I know she responds to everything. I love her.
Yes. I'm so glad you were doing this movie. It's one of my all-time favorite cheesy 80s films. It's a total comfort watch and one of the films I gravitate towards if I'm having a bad day. I rewatched it when I heard you were reviewing it. Not that I need a reason. I watch it a couple times a year. Everything is so over the top, from the clowns to the inside of the tent. I love that tent. They really go all out with the circus theme. The popcorn guns, putting people in cotton candy, all the wacky and dangerous stuff throughout the ship. It really is like a demented funhouse. Now, the acting isn't great. You don't say. And the dialogue is ridiculous at times, but you really care about the characters, especially Dave, Mike, and Debbie. I like the music. Yeah, I liked the music. The theme song is so much fun, and the special effects are great for the time period. My favorite scene is the shadow one, so creative. And if you have the DVD, I recommend watching the extras. You both have the DVD?
No, I don't have like any physical media, which I know everyone's going to kick me out of the horror community.
There's a lot of movies now that are extremely hard to find unless you can go to like those random stores that pop up that sell kind of nostalgic, like DVDs, pops, stuff like that. But it's really hard to find those things. I can't remember what the store was in the mall where I used to live, but they had tons of DVDs like that. But of course, they were also selling them for like $20 when they were like $5 movies. But they're just really hard to find anymore. You have to get them online.
Yeah, I stopped buying physical media years ago, so I guess I'm not even aware, but
yeah, I'm a Steelbook fan, so when new movies come out that I like, I love getting the Steelbook edition of them.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I like having that option that if I lose my internet, I have something physical I can watch.
Nice. Well, and now like they're starting to like edit movies on a lot of streaming services, except Tubi. Tubi doesn't edit movies, and other streaming services do, where they just edit stuff out. And like you can buy movies, you know, on streaming services, but then whenever they leave the service, like you don't get to keep it even though you paid for it and stuff like that. So I'm like totally buying into going back to physical media. I just haven't yet, but I want to. I want to start collecting Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff.
It's pretty expensive for that stuff now. Like, I mean, just for a decent movie, like it's still going to be $20 to $30. And you think you can get a streaming service that's like 2 months of streaming service. So that's what kills it, because a lot of people just go, well, I can get literally 2 months of whatever show and movie I want to watch on this service. But at the end of the day, you're going to watch the same 3 things over and over and over again that you do on streaming.
Yeah.
I do it.
Yeah, maybe you and Tammy are.
Yeah.
Not me. But yeah, I would obviously, my collection would be not like Dave Dr. Shockbecker's collection where he just buys everything. Mine would be like, okay, I would actually rewatch this movie, so I'll buy it. But yeah, for special features, it seems like physical media is totally the way to go.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think DVDs are old enough now that you're going to be entering your collecting phase, you know, like, and they'll come back down. Like I remember for a while, like VHSs were so expensive, and now I'm seeing them start to come back down. And you'll probably see DVDs because nobody's buying them. So I'm seeing them like at Dollar Tree and stuff, you know, and you just gotta hope that you trip over something good, I guess. But.
Yeah.
I know everyone's pissed because they stopped selling them at Best Buy.
Yeah.
Your old stomping grounds.
I don't know what to talk about. For like 10 years. It's okay.
Actually, Landon and we had some time to kill before a movie last week, and so we just went into Best Buy to just like bum around. Man, their prices are ridiculous, and we were the only people in the store like late on a Friday.
Yeah.
Not real, like super late. It was like 4 PM, but it's like we were the only ones in there, and they were like tripping over themselves. Can we help you anything? Can we help you find anything? You know, and it's like, whoa, no, we're just killing some time. But their prices are terrible.
Yeah, unfortunately with electronics, that's pretty much anywhere now because I mean they're oversaturated, but like also most people want them to the point where they don't care about the price anymore.
Yeah. Well, I did see for the first time with my own eyes a 96-inch TV, and
Yeah.
holy crap! Wow, like wow. I mean, you'd have to build your house around that thing because you'd have to sit so far back from it, you know. But I mean, it was pretty cool. But like, who is getting that? And like,
No.
where do you go from there? You know, I don't know.
You'd be surprised.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Those things, like you see some of the things in those stores are like thousands of dollars for like audio equipment for just surround sound and all this. And you're like, there's no way people are going to buy this. And then someone will come in and buy an entire massive TV sound system, like everything, spend like 10 grand and then have people
Wow.
come out and install all this stuff for
Yeah.
them. Like, who are you and how can you be my dad?
Okay, P Diddy, but you know, I have my Roku soundbar that, you know, and I'm like wow, I'm so cool.
That's so funny.
You got to live within your means. Yeah. Okay. Sarah Frisbee, my 4-year-old son Wyatt loves it. He hasn't seen the movie all the way through, but watches clips with it. Shorty is his fave, so he's on first name basis with the Klowns too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's how I actually realized that they had names. It's because of her comment. I was like, oh.
Well, and another cool parent introducing horror to their child at a young age. So,
Yeah.
props.
Yes.
If mine wasn't such a priss, I would show her more. But Wednesday's about as far as I can get her right now.
Yep, they're all different.
Yep,
Reno's
they are.
like that too. It's probably your fault that she's like that because you showed her this, and
I don't know what you're talking about. You guys scarred me with some of the movies you watched. I still watch it.
I never was scarred by anything. I just loved it. Always. Right from the get-go. I was just like, yes, murder, mayhem.
Abuse my psyche.
All right.
Yeah, and look at you now. So
Yeah, totally normal. Totally fine. All right.
totally.
Well, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. We're finally getting into our review of Killer Klowns from Outer Space. But before we do that, we are going to tell you that this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so this is your warning. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
So, if you haven't seen Killer Klowns and you don't want to be spoiled, then go away and come back later.
Because it's just such a deep and meaningful story. We don't want to ruin anything for you.
Or,
exactly.
You know, it's 35 years old. You should have probably seen it by now.
Probably. But yeah, I think Tammy's kind of right. This is a hard one to spoil.
Pretty
Nothing wrong with that. Yes. Look at the poster. Have you seen the poster? Okay, you're good.
What's it about? Killer Klowns from outer space. What do they do? Well, they come from outer space and they kill.
There you go. So, Killer Klowns from Outer Space is a sci-fi horror comedy from 1988, which is rated PG-13, and it runs at 1 hour and 28 minutes. It's written and directed by the Chiodo brothers. So Stephen Chiodo directed it, and then Stephen, along with Charles and Edward Chiodo, wrote it. The movie is about aliens who look like clowns that come from outer space and terrorize a small town. So there you go. The movie stars Suzanne Snyder as Debbie Stone, and she was in Weird Science, Return of the Living Dead 2, and Night of the Creeps. Grant Kramer plays her boyfriend, Mike Tobacco, who was in New Year's Evil and Willy's Wonderland. John Allen Nelson plays Deputy Dave Hansen, who was in Baywatch. And then other than that, he was mostly just in like 1 to 2 episode appearances on various TV shows for many years. John Vernon as the sheriff. I think he's the sheriff. I don't know. He's the older one, so I just
He's just a
described him.
deputy.
He's also just a deputy?
Yeah,
okay.
He is my favorite part of that movie, by far.
Well, he's not my least favorite, but he drives me nuts. So
yeah,
John
but he
Vernon,
was in everything in the 80s.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he is Deputy Curtis Mooney. He was in Dirty Harry, National Lampoon's Animal House, and he is also the voice of Major Glenn Talbot in many of the old Marvel cartoons from the 60s, which is fun. Michael S. Siegel plays Rich Terenzi. He was in Comedy Club. And then Peter Licassi plays Paul Terenzi. And he only acted in this, a TV movie called Cheeseball Presents, and a show called Santa Barbara. Royal Dano is Farmer Gene Green. He was in House 2 Second Story as Gramps, one of the greatest characters of all time. He was also in Ghoulies 2. He's in Space Invaders. He's in Twin Peaks. He's in Something Wicked This Way Comes. He's in Messiah of Evil and Under the Gun. Basically, he's in everything, and I love him.
Wow, yeah.
And then I also wanted to mention Christopher Titus as Bob McReed. This is his first starring role ever, or not starring role, his first role ever in a movie. Yep. And he was the guy carrying the beer, making out at the makeout park. And I'm mentioning him because Dylan and I loved the sitcom show Titus when it was airing. I know your dad really loved Christopher Titus. Is that how we got into it?
Yeah, Dad liked him as a comic just in general. And then he started watching Titus, and I think we kind of started watching it with him, how it went. It was really cool. I ended up getting to see him live a couple years ago. On stage for one of his stand-up comedy tours. I loved it. Like, I actually didn't even realize he was in this movie. I've seen it a lot, and then I rewatched it for this episode, and I literally had to like pause it, go back, and stare intently, and went, "That's Titus."
Yeah.
Like you could.
Did you see like the credit first?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. I was going through the credits. I'm like, Christopher Titus.
Yeah.
Who was he? Oh, he was the guy carrying the beer.
His character, because he's only in the movie for like 2 seconds, and then like I saw him, and I was like, that guy sounded and looked familiar. So I went back and I looked, and I saw his facial structure, because his facial structure hasn't changed since he was young. And I was like, that's Christopher Titus. I was like, that's awesome.
That's so fun. Aw. So yes, I wanted to mention Christopher Titus. So we begin with spacey credits that are rolling over a starry sky backdrop. And then the Killer Klowns theme song starts to play once the title of the movie is displayed. By the way, coolest theme song ever. You have to at least admit that, Tammy.
Oh, I 100% admit that. Yep.
Total
okay, perfect.
100%.
I love it.
This is the 80s.
Yep.
So good. And then we pan down from the night sky to a restaurant called Big Top Burger, where we first meet our grumpy, disgruntled town deputy who walks out of the burger joint to his cop car, coffee in hand. And we see that he's already going to be a nuisance because someone accidentally shoulder bumps him on the way in, and he gives a grumpy old face to him. And Curtis Mooney is the name of this deputy, and he tells another deputy named Dave over his radio that Friday night is just getting started, implying nothing's happened yet, but it surely will. In the next scene, and this is when Christopher Titus walks across the street with his beer, and both the cop and Christopher Titus like grumble to themselves about each other, because he's like drinking beer, so he has to hide it when the cop drives by, and the cop's like, kids. And he's like, cops. In the next scene, we're at the local makeout park, which is referred to as Top of the World, where couples hang out and drink and make out. And an ice cream truck pulls into the park with a giant clown head on top of it. And they try to sell their ice cream to the crowd over their speaker by announcing, "I'm JoJo the ice cream clown. We'll give you a stick, you'll give it a lick, and I'll tickle you all the way down. Ice cream, we brought our goodies here to you. A tasty treat for while you screw. Let's take a break. Cool off those hot lips with our frozen fruity bars. Icy, wicey, fudgy, wudgy bars, and everyone's frozen delight, the lick-a-stick. Wow. That must have been so hard for him to remember and say.
Yeah.
First of all, for someone that young, because they grew up together, so he's not that old, that's freaking ingenious. Because he knows his target audience. So
There
he
you
just
go.
leans into it. Like,
Yep.
that's pretty ingenious.
They thought so too. The two guys that are working this ice cream truck are Rich and Paul, which were told by one of the guys at the park, who we will later come to know as Mike Tobacco, who's drinking with his girlfriend, Debbie Stone. When Debbie asks how he knows the two goofs, he says that they're his best friends from school and that whenever he wants to have fun, a fun, adventurous night, those are the two to call. Rich and Paul attempt to park the truck for a while as they have two lovely ladies in the back and they want to try to get their smooch on. But as soon as they come to a stop, the two girls come to the front of the truck to ask what's going on. They say that Rich and Paul told them that they could eat as much ice cream as they want. And they tell the guys to take them home, proclaiming that ice cream was the only thing they were interested in. The driver, Rich, tells Paul, "See, I told you they weren't that dumb." And they leave the park to take the girls home. Now, I have this in our trivia section, but I can just bring it up now. The Chiodos actually knew a couple of brothers named Rich and Paul, and they actually did get an ice cream truck thinking that they could score babes with it. So that makes us even better.
That's awesome.
And Mike Tobacco is also based on somebody they actually knew, and that was like a real name. I remember reading that name and being like, okay, they just like put together two names.
I was
But
gonna
no.
say that to me was the worst part. Was his name was the dumbest part of the movie to me. I hated that name.
We apologize to real Mike Tobacco.
Nothing against you, man, but that's I'm sorry.
Yeah, bad luck. Mike and Debbie begin to make out, but are soon distracted by Haley's comet supposedly falling, which is so noticeable that all the couples stop making out to look at it. The comet lands nearby on a farm, and the farmer who lives there is sitting out on his front porch with his adorable hound dog, Pooh, when it hits Earth. Back in the makeout park, Debbie tells Mike that they have to go seek out this fallen comet. Mike says it must be 1,000 miles away, but Debbie thinks it was so close that it must just be over the hill. So Mike tries to protest, asking Debbie, doesn't she want to finish their champagne? Before giving in to Debbie's excitement eventually. And then they go. Back at the farm. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Chime in whenever you want.
Champagne. Like,
I know. At the makeout.
Everybody else there is drinking beer and they happen to have champagne. Like,
yeah.
What a way to make it stand out that they're your essentially main characters by putting something completely like random for them to drink.
Yeah.
At a makeout point. Like,
right.
Champagne's a weird choice.
I know, and they all know each other from school, and I was trying to piece together if they mean college, hopefully, because they're definitely not high schoolers. And there are a couple of college students later on, at the police station. So I'm like, okay, hopefully they mean college. There's no way these are high schoolers. What were you going to say, Tammy?
I was saying this is very Invaders from Mars up to this point. And maybe he just thought like Debbie likes older guys. So he was trying to like seem sophisticated. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it would make sense considering what you find out later.
Right. Yeah.
Deputy. So, I mean, it does make sense.
Yeah, it's weird. You're right. Champagne is just a weird choice in general. But let me see. Back at the farm, farmer Gene Green takes his doggo with him through the forest, shovel in hand. They're trying to get the comet because he thinks that they can make money on it. And when they walk through the forest, the farmer is talking to his dog, which is adorable. And then they come upon a circus tent. In a very offensive Southern accent, Farmer Green explains to Pooh, "Well, I'll be greased and fried. What in blue blazes is a circus doing in these here parts? I love the circus. Maybe we can get us some free passes. Come on, Pooh."
Also, I want to point out this movie takes place in what's supposed to be like a beach city in California. Like,
Is it?
yeah, it's supposed to be like a kind of mountainous beach city in California. Where did they get like the southern
Yeah.
draw old man that's just sitting there with his dog? Like, way out of place.
Now it's even more offensive. They just think all farmers
Yeah.
are Southerners or something. That's hilarious.
Do they call it Haley's Comet in the movie?
The farmer does.
Yeah, they think that that's what it is.
Because that's coming this week, you know.
Oh, is that Haley's Comet? I know there's
Yeah.
a comet,
Oh,
but I didn't know what comet.
oh, I guess I
So
just assumed.
There's a comet coming on the same week as an eclipse.
Uh-huh. So, House of the Devil, man.
Nice.
We're doomed. Da, da, da. When he gets closer to the tent, he does notice that the tent support cords look strange. And then the farmer tells Pooh that there's something peculiar going on and asks aloud, why isn't there anyone there? And where's the ticket booth? We see a shadow of a clown inside the tent, which the farmer doesn't notice. Shortly later, a hole which is in the shape of a perfect circle appears in the tent side, and the clown catches Pooh in a big butterfly net, which is hilarious. And Pooh whimpers for a moment, and Farmer Green looks back behind him to see Pooh's bandana, but no Pooh. He asks to himself, what in tarnation is going on here? And he tries to punch the tent side, but it hurts his hand because it's actually solid. He yells out, where's my dog? Where's my Pooh Bear? I'll tear this thing apart with my bare hands. And when he goes to grab one of the cords, he's electrocuted. A clown approaches him with a crazy-looking ray gun, which he fires at the farmer while laughing. That was one of my favorite things about the movie. Is like every time a clown kills somebody, they just like laugh maniacally to themselves. Like, damn, these are some evil ass clowns.
Well, and to them, they're aliens, so they're probably just sitting there going, like, these idiots are coming right to us.
Right.
This is great. And
Easy food.
Such a perfect reaction from the farmer, by the way, because like you go up there with the dog, which is obviously the only person he lives with, and then the dog's all of a sudden gone. And so what does he do? He gets mad and punches the closest thing to him. That's completely real reaction I could see from any person who has a dog.
Yes, absolutely. Give me my dog back. And this was something else I saw in some trivia was, you know how when they find the cotton candy corpses later and they reveal the farmer's face underneath the cotton candy, there's like a little thing of cotton candy behind him. And supposedly that's supposed to be the dog.
Yeah. Which to me kind of shows like they don't really discriminate as far as food goes. They just see something moving and go, oh, that's got some juice in it. Let's take it.
Well, they drink the blood, right? Isn't that what they're drinking? So maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe when they're in that cocoon, they eventually turn into like kind of like butterflies in cocoons. They just turn into a soup. So I'm guessing that's kind of, they just like turn into like vital organ soup or something that they can drink.
It's like a stomach, essentially.
Into it,
and has to just break some down into something they can drink. Yeah.
Gross. But awesome.
Yeah.
Back in town, the deputy Mooney shows up at the station with a couple of college guys. And when Deputy Dave asks what he's brought in, Curtis Mooney says that these guys were boozing it in the park. One of the guys explains that it was a lovely night and they were just walking back to their dorm with a bottle of wine, but that they weren't causing any trouble. And they seem totally like reasonable and like well-mannered gentlemen, one of which is goth and one of which is a little more like manly, just like typical man dude. And they're like, it was a lovely night. I was like, oh, just let them drink their wine and walk back to their dorm. Dave asks why they didn't just stay on campus to drink, and the guy says that they live in the city too, implying that they don't want to just be confined to their dorms. Mooney gets upset at this and slams one of the guys up against the wall, saying it's trash like them that's ruining their town. Dave gets Mooney to let the guy go, and Mooney gets his hackles up, asking Dave if he has a thing for these boys, and tells him to back off. They were disturbing the peace, public intoxication, etc., etc., on with crimes on which he could get these two. So the two officers become very standoffish with each other, and the college kids look nervous. Then we cut to Debbie and Mike as they park next to the woods and discover the circus tent themselves while looking for the comet. Debbie is nervous to approach the tent, but Mike convinces her to come in with him. They find a very dark opening to the tent and enter. They walk through a crazy, colorful tunnel, which looks like an incredibly fortified structure. Debbie is clearly still a little nervous, but Mike thinks it's a new wave European circus troupe that he heard about. As they enter the tunnel and tent further, they approach some cool elevator doors. I don't know if they're supposed to be like elevators or if they're supposed to be like those hotel doors, that open and close as you walk into them. By the way, they're doorways.
I also like the fact that he literally just knew how to operate them immediately. Like walked in and was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do this, this, and this," with no regard for what it could possibly be. Like it was just, yeah, this is something we get in and press these buttons. We're good.
Well, he seemed like he was just kind of randomly pushing the buttons, though, right?
Kind of, sort of.
Just like what'll happen if I do this?
Yeah.
I think, and then the buttons kind of look like big clown noses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's the best thing about this movie is just like the attention to detail with all the clown like details throughout the entire movie. I love it. What do you think, Tammy?
No, I totally agree with everything you're saying.
All right. I'll take that. Sorry, I keep losing my spot. Oh yes, with red clown noses as buttons on the wall. They get like sucked into this elevator somehow when the door opens, and then they're in this weird bottomless like silo room with some cool electric ball thingy shooting off electrical sparks, and it looks like those balls that used to be at like Spencer's in the mall that you could put your fingers on.
The plasma balls.
Is that what those are? I couldn't remember what they were called, but it looked like one of those, but a giant one, which I'm sure back then people were just like, ooh, crazy science thing. And then they get back into the elevator and they come back to where they first got in when they see a giant clown shadow approaching them in the tunnel. And they quickly get into another elevator, which takes them to a different room that I put that smells like candy. They must have mentioned that it smelled like candy when they got in there.
Yeah, I think that was like the first thing one of them said.
Okay. And that's where we see giant things of cotton candy hanging all over the room. And it looks like this big, giant, colorful factory. And there's a crazy popcorn machine with a bunch of levers, too. Debbie is convinced that this isn't a real circus tent and that it must be a UFO.
Wow.
That's a logical jump.
Yeah.
And they thought that they saw a comet, but it was actually this spacecraft. When Mike goes to tear off some cotton candy, a bloody human face is revealed. It's a farmer's face. And a clown soon comes in with a new cotton candy to hang, and the couple hide while he does so. The clown goes to work the popcorn machine, and he grabs a gun when he notices the couple after they accidentally knock something over. The clown pursues them with his gun, and when he shoots, popcorn comes out and hits the couple in a very gentle, like real popcorn fashion. And Mike asks Debbie if she's okay, to which she replies, "Yeah, I think so. Why are they shooting popcorn? Because it doesn't seem very effective." And Mike says, "Because they're clowns." So what do you guys think of the tent so far?
That is my favorite thing about the whole movie.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of, have either of you seen Planet of the Vampires? It just has that kind of like zany, weird 60s-ish color palette to it. And it just feels, and it's kind of like, I know you guys aren't Doctor Who fans, but I am. It's like the TARDIS, where it's like bigger on the inside, once you get inside. But I just love the whole aesthetic of the whole thing. And it's so whimsical that it makes it just that much creepier. So I was kind of waiting, like, were they ever going to tell why are they clowns? Which I don't feel like they ever really said, but it's almost like they had been studying Earth and like, what's something unassuming that we could come to Earth as that, Earth people won't immediately be afraid of us, even though they look terrifying. But from
Mhm.
the outside, it does just kind of look like a kind of a strange big top tent, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, by far, that's like, I could just watch a whole movie of them just like walking around the spaceship. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. What about you, Dylan?
I thought it was a really clever use of just probably the available space they had, to try to make something a little unique. Like to me,
Mhm.
the cotton candy thing, especially as you like get further in a movie and realize what they are and what they're used for, to me it just looked like a butchery, like hanging up big
Mm.
Like
slabs of beef on
Yeah.
hooks, and that's all it
Yeah.
was. That's all it was to them, is they were literally hanging up their food till they were ready to use it. So like that
Yeah.
was pretty cool. And of course, like it really did, like it's like they literally had the idea of, we want this to be like a circus tent, obviously, but we want it to be a straight fun house inside. We want everything to look like you just walked into a fun house at a fair, and build this weird relationship, because you've been in a fun house, you know what it's like, you've been there before. So to have that kind of, we've never been in spaceships, at least that we can know of, and like you people have been in fun houses, so it kind of has that
Mhm.
relationship
Yeah.
merger where you can kind of be like, that's kind of cool, I've been in a place like that before. So it's just something, like, I think to people can go, man, that looks like really cool, that looks like the one that comes to our fair every year or something like that. I thought
Right.
it was a great, like addition for what they were doing. I thought it helped build it, and to me it kind of made it seem like they've been there before, and that's maybe where we got the idea for Clowns 4 in the first place. So like
Yeah.
Mm.
kind of like a aliens visited type situation, because I'm pretty sure later on in the movie one of the brothers from the ice cream truck like say something like that.
Mm.
Like
Okay.
I feel like he mentions it just kind of like in, like, while they're in the circus tent or something like that. I feel like he said something like that jokingly, and then
Yeah.
they just brushed right over it.
I love what you said about like the slabs of beef, because I think a lot of times when we see these pods in these movies, they're like kind of using them to like replicate themselves, like, you know, body snatchers or something. But
Yeah,
now that, I mean, that's a perfect way to describe. They do look like slabs of beef hanging
yeah,
there.
just
Oh,
like big old like sides of beef hanging
yeah,
down, waiting for breakdown and food.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how like menacing this movie really is because
yes,
it's
yes,
disguised under all this fun stuff.
yeah,
But like thinking about how they're like sucking people out, like all those things of cotton candy are all dead people. Like
Yeah,
just thinking about that is crazy.
yeah,
Well, like
Um,
we're talking about it now in kind of a lighthearted way, but you said how scared your daughter was of it as a child. I could see this being quite scary to a child,
yeah,
because it is so menacing. But we're kind of like, we're looking at it through seasoned eyes. We've seen 100 of these 80s, horror movies, and
mhm.
ha ha ha. But like to a little kid, it's like, it would be like, what the fuck, Like,
Yeah, unless you're my friend's son Wyatt, he loves it.
yeah,
So it can be a gateway movie or it can traumatize you
yeah.
for the rest of your life.
But I could
So
see, like, if no one explained, like, I don't know, Dylan, if you took time to explain to Raina, now this isn't real, or if you were like, ha ha ha, watch this, like a little kid would be
probably
like,
more that one.
oh no, yeah,
yeah. Knowing me, probably.
yeah.
or just
I know. I keep
or
trying
just
to.
turned it on and waited.
I'm like, Raina, if you could rewatch this and see how funny it is, like you'll laugh at yourself for ever being traumatized. And she's like, nope, not gonna do it. Like, okay, weirdo. I'll get her one day. Um, all right. So the couple escape into the forest, and one of the red-haired clowns, the one that shot them with the popcorn, soon appears with a different red-haired clown. That one must be Spiky, because I put that he had spiked hair. So I don't remember which one had the popcorn gun, but Spiky comes following after him. Do
The
you
Yeah,
short
happen to
one,
remember?
the short one had the popcorn gun, didn't he?
No,
so
because
wait.
it was another
Oh,
redhead. Maybe Rudy. Was it Rudy? I don't remember.
Yeah, Rudy was one of the main clowns. Him and Jumbo. Those were like two that showed up pretty frequently.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think of all the clowns, Rudy's head shape really freaks me out.
Kind of reminded me of Dopey from Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
That's that's a weird comparison, but yes, so funny. So Spiky and somebody else come out, and Spiky makes a dog balloon animal that barks while it sniffs out Debbie's and Mike's trail. Another
Loved
just
it.
like hilarious
Loved
detail that
it.
I
Yeah.
loved. And then the couple get in their car and drive away just in time, first backing up to hit the clowns before driving off. One of the clowns lands on the windshield briefly, and we get a good close up of their face. And this is where I know that the clown design is so creepy and unique and monstrous. And I love it. Love it. It's so gross and grotesque. And the clowns don't appear to be injured at all. So that didn't do anything. Debbie tells Mike that they have to go to the police, to which Mike argues that they won't believe them. Debbie says that she has a friend that works there and he'll believe them. So that's a good little tie-in to have
he's
there.
not wrong.
He's not wrong, yeah.
How many people are going to believe that? Like, if I think about it and something happened and it's just two people, especially since they probably still have alcohol in their breath, like coming to the cops and being like, dude, we saw this giant tent. There were people in cocoons made of cotton candy, and these giant clowns were shooting at us with popcorn. They probably think, wow, you smoked a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Which they kind of do.
Yeah.
I say it's funny when the cop starts taking all the phone calls, and that's exactly what the people are saying, yet he's still trying to say, like, okay, now the whole town's in on it. They're trying to make a fool out of me. It's like, dude.
That makes me so mad.
That's a man that's just stuck in his ways. It's
yes.
The old ornery guy that's just like, you know what, I'm tired of this and tired of his job and doesn't want to be there anymore, but knows he needs to be there. So it's kind of like, oh, fine, then I'm just going to play Mr. Bad Guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so silly. It's like you really think that the whole town has it out for you and put in that much energy and time to conduct this like very elaborate prank.
Mooney does.
Nobody cares about you.
Yeah.
Well, that's because he thinks he is that important. That's
yes,
I know.
Yeah.
Is he
apparently
really does believe that he should be running the precinct, that he should be the head honcho, that people in the town should respect him, but they don't because he's been there for so long and is exactly where he's at.
That's right.
So true. Yeah.
We cut to a sign for the city, which is Crescent Cove, and it says it's 5 miles away. We then see a troop of clowns appear one by one as they slowly walk in the direction of the city. In the city, Debbie and Mike reach the police station where they run into Dave out front and they begin to frantically tell him what they found. Dave asks if they asks that they calm down and come inside to explain what's going on. I put the initial red-haired clown. I still don't know which one it is. Sorry. Maybe I'm like looking at all these pictures. Nope, I don't know. Maybe Jumbo. People are probably yelling at me because apparently, oh no, Jumbo has green hair. Sorry, I take that back. Maybe Slim. Maybe it was Slim. I don't know. Sorry, guys. I don't know all these clowns' names.
It might be Slim because I think Slim was the one that did the puppet show.
Okay. I just don't know. I remember Spiky. I remember Shorty. You know, those are a little obvious. Fatso and Chubby kind of stick out, but I can't remember the rest of the clowns. So one of the red-haired clowns, they walk through the city with their funny clown bag in hand. I love those too. They're giant clown bags. Mm-hmm. And he pauses in front of a store to act like an animatronic, mirroring a nearby monkey animatronic, while a couple of girls approach and smile at him briefly before going into the store. That was so fun.
I love that to me showed some kind of like innocence a little bit because didn't seem like malicious. It just seemed like he was like monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And then when they just kind of like laughed and then walked inside, it was like he was just kind of confused. He's like, wow, I can't believe that worked, or that was interesting. And well, they went in there. Let's go in there. Let's see what's in there. Like it was to me, it seemed like innocence. Like it just seemed like curiosity more than anything.
For me, it was more malicious because I kind of take it as like they have been observing us, and they kind of understand how we work to some extent. And I feel like that comes into play too later when they're doing like the door-to-door scenes with like pizza and stuff. But funly malicious because it's a fun movie. But they're really good at improvising. Back at the police station, Debbie and Mike explain all the details of what they found to Dave, including some dead townspeople wrapped in cotton candy cocoons. Mooney listens from outside of the office for a minute before entering and whistling before saying, "Wow, killer clowns from outer space, eh?" Clearly being very condescending in his tone and body language. Dave asks Mooney to back off and says he's handling it. Dave asks Debbie about her friend and asks if they were at Top of the World, which is that makeout park. When she says that yes, they were, they go to school together, Mooney realizes that he knows Mike after all and calls him a little fart. He knows him because he hangs out with those Terenzi brothers, Rich and Paul.
That is my favorite insult. Like literally, of all the things he could say, this adult man calls another adult man a little fart.
I really miss the days when those kind of insults were being thrown around in general. Well, it's like, I thought they were a lot more creative than what people use today.
If someone called me a little fart in like a serious, angry manner, I don't know if I would be able to come back from that because I would be so confused and thrown back. I'd be like, I would have to like think.
You start laughing.
Happen? Yeah, it's like I would have to ask, did you just call me a little fart? Like what is happening right now?
Yeah, very disarming.
Yeah. Touche, sir.
Yeah. And he thinks that Mike is just playing a game with the cops since he knows the Terenzi brothers, and he's trying to make them all look like fools. Dave goes with Debbie and Mike so that they can show him where the tent is, while Mooney stays at the station, smiling to himself that they aren't gonna fool him. In the next scene, we see a clown puppet show in a park, and a random young guy approaches, smiling. In the puppet show, a boy puppet tries to kiss a girl puppet, and the girl puppet pushes him away and shakes her head no. The boy puppet tries to grab her, and she dips down below the stage and reappears with a ray gun, which she shoots at the boy puppet and makes him disintegrate. The passerby laughs. He's thoroughly enjoying the show, when all of a sudden the girl puppet turns to look towards him, and the clown that's puppeteering her slowly emerges from below, puppet still on his hand. It's the clown with the spiky hair, known as Spiky, and he blasts the passerby with his ray gun, and he laughs maniacally as the man turns into a giant cotton candy.
That laugh, by the way, was the scariest part of the movie.
Yes.
Because that was a very demonic clown laugh.
Like, I know, they all have like these distorted but unique evil laughs.
Like not quite human.
Yeah. Yeah, they all have that kind of like auto-tune quality to them. Oh, somebody got their speaker on?
Yeah, did it just mess stuff up?
I just hear my voice echoing.
Sorry, hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, we already did the echoing portion of the show.
Better?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
Yes. I was like, wait, I have to say something to know. All right. So yes, that scene was very fun. I love it. I love all the little scenes with the clowns. In a drugstore, we see a man shaking nervously while trying to find the courage to speak up to one of the red-haired clowns who's strolling down the aisles and just knocking everything off of the shelves nonchalantly. That seemed innocent to me.
Yeah. That was a very
He's just like, woo.
Yeah, like, we're gonna have fun with this.
Yeah, like the clowns in the drugstore aren't like killing anyone. They're just like curious and like looking at each object with curiosity and just knocking stuff over.
Kill squad.
Right. They're part of the exploration squad.
And that pharmacy guy, like, I have to say, sounded like the biggest weenie I've ever heard in a movie in my life. Like, just his voice and his mannerisms, it's like I've never heard someone so genuinely terrified, like in just a normal setting. Not normal setting, obviously, but just like so scared that something was happening. Like he literally just it was either really good acting or that guy just has very weenie-ish mannerisms.
Oh my God. Well, you know what I appreciated though is that everybody else sees these clowns and just thinks that they're clowns and they're clearly like monstrous. And he's the only one who's actually like, oh my God, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I actually appreciated that he was taken aback.
He might be the only one that had that clown phobia.
Maybe that's what it was.
He might be the only one that legit had it, and that's probably why he was so scared.
That's funny. In Dave's car, he argues with Debbie about taking her home first and then checking out the site, not wanting to put her in danger. When she reveals to the audience that he was once her boyfriend. Dun, dun, dun. So that's a weird tension between everybody. We see Mike kind of roll his eyes with a new look of understanding in the back seat. Like, oh, this is what's going on. At a random house in the city, a woman opens her front door, champagne in hand, again, champagne, to receive some boxes of pizza from a clown with orange hair. So I don't know which one has orange hair. I'm going to try and figure it out because there's not a lot of orange-haired ones.
I think that one's chubby. No, that's the Crazy Straw one. Never mind. Oh,
maybe
he's
it's
Fatso.
Fatso. I think it must be Fatso.
By the way, did anyone else notice that 90 was 100% see-through that she was wearing?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was like, this is a PG-13 movie. I know that you have some risque stuff, but that's just boobs.
Yes. Well, it was the 80s.
Yeah.
We got away with more. PG-13 was still new.
Yeah, that's fair.
And boobs are natural. Kids can see boobs. I think it's fine.
Everybody loves boobs.
True. I love boobs.
I love boobs.
Okay. There you go. 3 out of 3 people love boobs. So
we've done the study.
Yes. So all of a sudden 2 other clowns, both with red hair, appear from both sides of Fatso, and they open up the top pizza box to reveal a green-haired clown that pops out of it, using some sort of Mary Poppins magic, as we can see under the pizza boxes, and there's no body there. So this must be Shorty, I'm guessing. Green hair. Probably. I think he might be the only green-haired clown. So his head pops out of the pizza box. It actually doesn't look terrible. So that's cool. And and he blasts her with his laser gun and turns her into cotton candy. Aw, poor hot lady with champagne and a see-through nightie. At another random house, a different clown delivers a box of chocolates to an older woman. She accepts them happily and looks behind her, asking her husband, Jim, if these are from him. The clown's face behind her changes from a grin to a sneer. But she was so, like, genuinely excited. It was adorable. And again, it's a monstrous clown delivering this to you. And you're just like, oh my God, my husband got me chocolate. Like, it's a monster.
These clowns wasted no time, by the way. There was no, like, rest period. They landed, and it was, like, collecting food, like, immediately.
It's on.
Which I appreciate. It makes for a more entertaining and, like, quickly paced movie.
Well, it's
I think that's like
they were doing.
Yes, which is what leads me to believe that they've been observing us.
Yeah.
Back in Dave's car, he parks in front of Debbie's house, and she and Mike walk upstairs to her front door. Mike is worried that Dave is going to kill him now, knowing that it's Debbie's ex. The two kiss, and Debbie heads inside her house while Mike gets back to Dave's car and drives off with him. Back at the drugstore, 3 clowns mess around with various beauty products curiously. We see the pharmacist still trying to muster the courage to do or say something, clearly fearful of their appearance. In the woods, Mike and Dave approach a giant shallow hole in the ground. Mike claims that this is where the tent was, and Dave is disgruntled, saying that he said that there was dead people and he wants to know where the bodies are. And, clearly I could see him getting upset because it's like, wait, you didn't actually lead me on this goose chase, right? Because I actually believed you. I'm concerned about the townspeople. I need to see the dead bodies. Like, this is serious.
Yeah.
And Dave is no longer buying Mike's story, cuffs him and takes him back to the car, saying that Mooney was right. He was just messing around with them. In an alleyway, a bunch of bikers hang out and drink when the green-haired clown Shorty approaches on his clown bike. The biggest biker asks if he can ride the bike or honk the horn. The clown shakes his head no to each request, so the biker grabs the clown's bike and busts it on the ground. The clown appears to be crying briefly before retrieving a pair of boxing gloves, seemingly out of thin air, and begins his boxer stance. The biker asks, "What are you going to do? Knock my block off?" When the clown, there's the PG-13.
Yeah.
When the clown hits him with an uppercut and does indeed knock his block off, right into a trash can, while the other bikers scream in fear and start to hustle to ride off. The clown gleefully laughs to himself.
The
Such a great scene.
the reaction that one of the bikers had to the guy's head flying off cracked me up, because it wasn't like a, oh my god, it was like a, oh man. It was like like this is like, again, like that's almost what the reaction was, and I'm like that reaction kind of took my attention away from the fact that he just, like, Jason Takes Manhattan this dude, and like, knocked his head square off his body, but like just the reaction of just like, oh, I gotta start running now.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Yeah, like, oh, what a minor inconvenience.
Yeah.
At the burger joint, a group of women accompanied by one young girl eat. The girl looks out the window to see a clown who waves to her and motions for her to come outside, where he waits with a giant mallet. The girl sneaks away from her table and meets the clown at the door, but before she can leave, her mom grabs her and tells her she's not going anywhere until she eats her food, unknowingly saving the girl's life. The clown angrily bares his disgusting, weird human teeth. I think that this is the scene that really scared my daughter as a kid. I think.
Yeah, I could see that. But
Yeah.
also, how unaware are those parents?
It's the 80s, man. It's the 80s.
I mean, it was just a different time, because I couldn't imagine, like, if we're sitting in a public place and my daughter gets to get up, I'm not just sitting there keeping the conversation going. I'm like, where are you going? Like, what do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
Like, we're not at home. You can't just get up and walk away. Like,
yeah. I totally, when I was a kid, got lost at like restaurants and grocery stores and all kinds of stuff, just wandering off. So,
lost. Dad would
used
leave
to be
me
a
in
thing.
the restaurants if I didn't eat fast enough.
Well, my mom and your dad are pretty different people. They're both very, very the same and very different at the same time. My mom's very sweet. My mom's like the nicest person ever. Not that your dad's a monster or anything, He's just a gruff, manly man.
He's just not sweet.
He's just a boomer. That's all. Yeah. He was sweet to me. He used to give me money every time I'd get A's in school.
That's probably why I never got A's. I didn't know that.
Well, I think he did it to try and get you to work harder in school. He'd be like, look, Jessica's getting a 20 for every A. I'd be like, yeah.
I think my reaction was like, that's cool.
All right. While driving, Mike and Dave pull over near the woods when Dave notices some abandoned cars with open doors and lights on. I believe that this is at the Top of the World Park. And I think that the guy that they refer to, who the Jeep belongs to, is the Christopher Titus character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, this must be back at Top of the World. He investigates the area around the vehicles, and there's no one in any of them. And then he finds some cotton candy webbing all over the abandoned Jeep. And when he opens the door, the inside is completely covered in cotton candy as well. He pulls out a pair of broken glasses, and he goes back to his car. And he uncuffs Mike, showing him the pair of glasses that he found. Mike confirms the substance is the same and reveals that he knows the owner of the Jeep. It was one of his friends that was at the park at the same time as he and Debbie earlier. He finishes by saying that he's dead now, knowing what the cotton candy means. Oh, sad. Back at the police station, Mooney answers a phone call from a lady about a clown at her front door. He hangs up on her and pours himself a drink, still not willing to fall for the trick. He gets another call from the pharmacist and another townsperson, both about the clowns. He thinks the whole town is in on the joke from the Trenzi brothers. I said this guy is the real clown of the movie. This is so funny.
That's what makes him so great, though, is he's such a stubborn ass that it gets him into the situation. Like, literally, like, he just had to maybe think for a second that it's real.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. But even so, his demise is like
fantastic.
The scariest part of the movie to me.
Yeah.
That scene is like genuinely creepy.
When I first saw it, I really wondered where the hand was.
I didn't even think of that. I'm dumb. Oh, it's so funny. We cut to a guy driving a car who's being tormented by a clown who's in an invisible sidecar. The guy
awesome.
So good. Like, why doesn't it look worse? I was like shocked at how good they were able to pull that off. The guy eventually drives off the road and crashes down below. And his car goes up in flames like immediately while the clown laughs evilly to himself.
Yeah, that one was Slim.
Okay, that one's Slim.
That was Slim.
Okay,
Just,
cool.
They didn't kill him for food, so they get some kind of like just joy out of the killing too.
Mm-hmm. Seems like
yeah. Yeah. They definitely get joy because they always laugh.
Yeah.
Also, that was one of the more uneventful car crashes I've ever seen in a movie.
There was some trivia where that was going to be a much bigger scene, and I think because of budgetary reasons they had to cut it down, and I think the Chiodos were like bummed out about it.
It kind of just went.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. They could have maybe cut that one out, but I love the invisible sidecar gag.
Oh yeah, that part was fantastic.
Back at Debbie's house, she disrobes and gets into her shower, and we see some of the popcorn that was shot at her earlier falls to the ground where it's slightly moving around on its own.
I thought that looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The way they were kind of like inching, like caterpillars.
Like yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. Back at the Big Top Burger, one of the clowns pulls out a handful of popcorn from his big clown bag and he drops it in the dumpster. When a Big Top employee comes out to toss some trash, we hear the popcorn twittering in the dumpster. The worker gets pulled into the dumpster screaming when he looks inside to find the source of the noise. That was fun. In Dave's car, Dave apologizes to Mike for not believing him and says that Debbie being involved makes it much more complicated for him. And I kind of like this too. This is what makes this movie so rewatchable for me, is you can just have it on in the background because it's like so crazy and just cutting to fun scene to fun scene to fun scene to fun scene. You know what I mean? You're not following like one story or character for more than like a minute at a time.
Almost like a skit show.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people that are in, or not a lot, but some of the main people are from like, they're comedians and they're from like skit shows and stuff. So it totally makes sense. At a random bus stop, I love this scene. A group of people wait for the bus when a clown shows up and makes the most astounding shadow puppets on the wall for them. The small crowd claps and cheers while he displays with his clown hands an elephant who blows his trunk, George Washington with his crew on a moving boat, and then a belly dancer. Mike and Dave pull up and Mike begs Dave to kill him, screaming that it's one of the clowns that he was talking about. Dave motions him to wait and see what the clown's doing. He makes a shadow of a T-Rex with glowing red eyes that eats up the bus stop crowd. Mike puts his foot on top of Dave's on the gas pedal, and then they drive the car towards the clown. But the clown high jumps out of there, and he never lands, and they crash into the wall. Such a great scene. What do you guys think of that scene?
That was also Slim. So he went from driving that guy off the road to making shadow puppets of people. But I thought that the CGI at that time for that was actually really good. The way that they had the people disappear into the shadow, I thought was done very, very well.
Yeah, I agree.
totally agree. Yeah, it was so cool and like seamless.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, that's the way that CGI should be used, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is like for fantastical stuff, not like realistic looking stuff.
Yeah, something that you can't put into a visualization without it. Like
Yeah.
something tangible, that's fine, but something like shadows and, like you said, like fantasy, mystical stuff can definitely be, because you can't really recreate that with practicality.
Right.
Yeah, like even the wyverns in Game of Thrones, I think that those look great. And I was thinking about, I'm like, how come that doesn't bother me, but seeing like CGI animals bothers me? It's because like wyverns aren't real, or at least not anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't compare those to a real wyvern. You know what I mean? But if I see a CGI tiger, I'm like, that doesn't look like a fucking tiger. Like I've seen tigers.
But the good thing is occasionally you'll get those ones that are done so well where you go, wow, that is phenomenal. Like where you can see each little individual hair that they worked on for the CGI, like stuff that you knew that they took years to develop is like, okay, well, I can understand that. That's fine. But stuff that you can
tell me one good example. Tell me one.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I actually thought that a lot of the CGI in the Jungle Book was very good.
Oh, I didn't see that, the newer one.
Yeah, the CGI that they did on the just the details and some of the mannerisms that the animals did was actually very lifelike.
Oh, well, I'll have to look into that and then report back. Wait, don't yet. I have to confirm that you're telling the truth. When did that come out? That came out probably like, what, 2014-ish?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look. I will. I do love like every Jungle Book adaptation, so I might as well. Even the one with Cersei Lannister.
Is that the one with what's his name? I can't remember the actor. Done a lot of like martial arts movies.
Yes.
Done a lot of comedies. Like, okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the one that came out when we were like kids.
Okay.
Did you know that was Cersei Lannister? She's all like young and pretty.
I haven't even thought about the movie in so long that like I wouldn't have ever been able to say that was a thing.
Yeah, I don't remember how I realized it, because I used to watch that movie all the time when I was younger, but for some reason I was looking her up and I'm like, holy crap, she's the freaking girl of interest in that Jungle Book movie. That's crazy. Okay, sorry. Anyways. Yes. So Dave radios Mooney, but Mooney thinks that Dave is just in on this prank too. This guy is the biggest boomer I've ever seen. That's what I put. Dave says that he needs to get back to the station so he can reach out to the state police for help. Just then, the Trenzi brothers drive out of an alley in their clown-themed ice cream truck, which confuses Dave, and he thinks that they must be killer clowns. But Mike says that it's just the Trenzi brothers and that he wants to go catch up with them so that they can go and warn everyone about the killer clowns. So Dave allows him to go and says he'll head to the station. This is when they start to become like equals. I think their relationship is actually really cute.
Me too.
It seems, especially for the time, it seems very like advanced.
Yes.
To have this kind of like trifecta of relationships and it not be a thing, you know, like by the end. And Mike meets up with the Trenzis, who have just crashed their truck into a mound of cardboard boxes. Mike excitedly explains to the guys that he and Debbie found this tent. And he talks about the killer clowns and he gives them all the details. And then Mike begs them to help him. And he'll settle for them dropping him off at Debbie's house. The Terenzies ask with a smile if Debbie has any roommates. Catching their drift, Mike says that she has 2 beautiful roommates with big boobs who love ice cream. This gets the boys on board.
Yeah.
That was easy.
One track mind.
Back at the police station, the phones are going nuts, but Mooney sits steadily, ignoring them all, when a killer clown appears in front of him. He laughs and starts being condescending to the clown, smoking a cigar. The clown holds out a clown bouquet to Mooney, which shoots water out of its center into his face. Mooney cuffs the clown and says that he has no rights in Mooney's jail. The clown walks away, leaving behind his giant hand still cuffed in Mooney's hands. Mooney follows. It's so good. All of those little details are just perfect.
And that whole scene to me was just one small joke after the other, and it's just the little details in that scene that make it so much better.
Yeah. And he keeps thinking like that he has the upper hand, and then the clown just does something like very easily.
He refuses to be the dumb one.
Yes.
He refuses to be not in control.
Yeah. Mooney follows him into the area with the cells and tells the clown to get in the main cell with the 2 college kids from earlier. When the clown walks in, his back to Mooney, Mooney hits him on the back of his head really hard with his flashlight. I was like, police abuse. Chill.
Clown lives matter.
Yeah. The clown turns towards him angrily. He blows into one of those paper toys for celebrations. I can't remember what they're called. You know, the
yeah.
And the end turns into a hand that grabs Mooney by the throat and pulls him towards the cell, banging his head on the bars and knocking him out. So good. And the goth kid from earlier comedically asks the clown what he's in for.
I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of stuck in there with whatever. Like,
yes.
And you know that when he got put in there, they both just said, "Dude, there's more cells. Can you put him somewhere else? Don't put him in here with me, please."
Yeah, definitely get on that clown's good side. At the police station, nope, this is wrong. At the police station, the phone's ringing and it's dark inside. Dave calls out for Mooney and tries to answer the phone, but just hears Rackus on the other end. He follows big red clown shoe-shaped footprints that lead him to the cells where there's big clown shoe-shaped footprints in different God, that's hard to say. In different colors all over the walls. The main holding cell is open, and inside Dave finds 2 cotton candy cocoons. Oh, poor college kids. He tears some away from one figure to reveal a dead face below. A dead arm falls out of the other cocoon above. Dave leaves frightened. Back in the office, he finds the clown sitting in the chair at Mooney's desk, and he puppeteers Mooney, who is sitting on his lap like a dummy. He has harsh blush circles on his cheeks like a clown, and the blood dripping from both corners of his mouth create the illusion of a ventriloquist dummy's mouth. Mooney, being controlled by the clown, says to scared Dave, "Hey, Dave, who was the lady I saw you with last night? Don't worry, Dave. All we want to do is kill you." The clown then removes his bloody hand from Mooney's back, is what I put, because I didn't even think about it, and pushes him over onto the ground while shaking the blood off of his hand. That was like him shaking the blood off too made it even creepier and grosser. I don't know. It's just this is the one scene in the movie that's like straight up like, oh, it just got dark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it just showed that like even he knew that there were like, it's almost like you could tell that there were lines even they didn't necessarily want to cross, but he did it for the humor of it. So it's like maybe they just really do have a really twisted sense of humor. Because like
totally,
he didn't eat him, like he just used him as a puppet. Yeah. So it's like,
yeah, that human pissed him off.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have to hit him with a flashlight. Like, he's already going into the cell.
Yeah.
So he kind of brought it on himself. Um, Dave shoots the clown several times in the stomach and chest, but they do nothing. Then he shoots his big red nose off of his face, sending him into a spin of glowing green light until he explodes. Dave talks to a Jack on the radio and begs for help, stating that many have been killed, including Mooney, and that he needs backup. Jack assures him that help is on the way. So now we know how to kill the killer clowns finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Gotta
was
shoot them in the
Jumbo.
nose.
Yeah, that was Jumbo, I think, was
That
the
one
first
was Jumbo.
fatality. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. Ooh, so creepy. Back at Debbie's house, she goes to get out of the shower. The ice cream truck drives through the city, and the Trenzies make jokes over the speaker, asking if there's any space clowns out there. They think that Mike is pulling a prank as well. They suddenly approach a street that has a mini clown parade going on, where clowns walk alongside a giant vacuum disguised as a float, which is sucking up cotton candy cocoon corpses in the street. Okay, this is also pretty dark. The guys watch from the ice cream truck as a passerby gets laser gunned by a clown and they drive off. So now they know it's real. At Debbie's, she's attacked by weird baby killer clowns that appear from the medicine cabinet, the hamper, and the toilet. She fends them off.
that one freaked me out a little bit. I had to like convince myself a couple of times mentally, like that's just a movie.
They were
I did not
creepy.
want to imagine that coming up out of the toilet.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny. She fends them off with items in her bathroom and runs out. So we find out that the popcorn are actually little baby killer clowns. And a clown waits for her. And they're like, weren't they kind of like plant-like?
Well, they had like they were like almost like snakes. They were on like these weird, they had really long necks or something, or they hadn't developed their bodies yet. I'm not sure. Like, I like the fact that they basically included that they're little babies, like the popcorn become killer clowns. But it's like, are they like just mutated versions of them, or do they get fully grown?
Right.
That was a weird thing.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it that deeply. I just assumed that they grow into killer clowns eventually.
Yeah.
But I do like that they aren't just shooting popcorn and dropping popcorn. Like, it actually has a purpose and they explain it without explaining it.
Yeah.
So that's cool because we never really get like a backstory, which is fine for a movie like this.
Yeah.
So just paying attention to stuff like that and including it, I feel like it makes such a big difference when it comes to B horror. From being like just a bad movie to being so bad that it's good, or you know, like what you were saying earlier.
Stuff too. Little subtle stuff that makes you think a little bit.
Exactly. A clown waits for her at her front door and calls to her in Mike's voice. She opens the door and finds a clown there instead and slams the door in his face. She goes to jump out of a window where a troop of clowns wait below, ready to catch her.
That was funny.
That was so funny. She walks backwards away from the window when she's approached by the front door clown from behind. He shoots a different kind of gun at her that encapsulates her inside of a giant yellow balloon with big red polka dots. Mike and the Terenzis pull up. I think I spelled their name wrong a few times. I just put like different spellings of their last name. Mike and the Terenzis pull up just in time to see the clown drive off in his clown car with Debbie's balloon attached. They pursue the clown car in their ice cream truck, and they pass Dave on the road, who follows with sirens blaring and lights on. When the Terenzis realize that there's a cop following them, they brake suddenly, and Dave drives into the back of the truck, busting up the front of his police car. Dave joins the guys in their ice cream truck after Mike explains that the clowns got Debbie. They drive towards the local amusement park, figuring that has to be where the clowns would hide out. They figured right. We pull up to the carnival with the clown in the clown car who is carrying Debbie in the balloon. And when he pulls up and gets out, a security guard tells him that the park's closed and he has to leave. 4 other clowns slowly emerge from the car, all holding cream pies. And when the security guard asks, "What are you going to do with those pies, boys?" they let him have it. The security guard melts away, leaving a pile of cream, which one of the clowns places a cherry on top of as they pass to go into the clown fun house.
His his acting, I think, was probably the cringiest of the whole movie.
Oh,
Like,
you think so?
oh yeah, like I mean, minus the farmer, but like I don't know, there was something about just the way he was presenting it was almost like it was part of the ruse or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like he was joking with him and he had no seriousness to him whatsoever. And then
Right.
unfortunately goes out like the most brutal way of most of the people in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He
Other than
literally
having
got
a
robbed.
hand shoved up your ass, it's
Yeah,
probably the
well,
second
I mean,
worst way to go.
just depends on what you're into, but I mean, I feel like that to me, because like you said earlier, Tammy, how it was like the blob. That to me was like almost like an ode to the blob, because that's essentially what it was. The cream pies were like little acidic pies, and I mean that's all the blob was. It's just a blob of digestive acids. So it's like
100%. Yeah.
a little ode to the blob. Maybe they got a lot of creative influence from it or something.
Well, it
Yeah, and
definitely
again-
seems like it.
And it's like this, like, I mean, I don't know how much pain is involved with getting turned into the cotton candy thing, but this had to be like a horrible way to go. And this, it looks
Yeah.
like I mean, they killed him for sport also. Like they didn't pick up the cream and pie and take it with them and eat it, right? So like,
Well, and then the cherry on top, like that
yeah,
was just pure humor. He was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's funny.
yeah.
Totally. The ice cream truck arrives shortly after and parks when they see the clown car. The ice cream guys are excited about the massive melted ice cream until they notice a skeletal human arm coming out of the pile. They head into the clown fun house and walk through cardboard cutouts of monsters and dinosaurs while they talk about the killer clowns and theorize where they came from and what they want. The guys walk down some stairs covered in fog machine fog when all of a sudden Paul notices a big red button that he can't resist pushing. Dave tells him not to touch anything as this place is probably booby trapped. They're about to go through a door when the Trenzy brothers suddenly disappear into a trap door under their feet and land in a ball pit below, where they meet the girl clowns. What were the girl clowns?
Rosebud and Daisy.
Rosebud and Daisy. Which, spoiler alert, I guess they don't kill the guys because the guys reappear later on. So I thought that was interesting. Maybe the girl clowns are nicer. Maybe they finally got the love and attention that they were looking for from the other sex. I don't know.
Yeah.
but
Maybe
they
were just tired
reemerge
of
randomly.
clowns. Or maybe the brothers were so much like clowns in themselves because of their personalities that it drew them to them. Like that's what I took away from it, because they were very much just clowns the entire movie,
Yeah,
and they
that is
happened
so
to make
true.
it with a couple of female clowns.
Yeah,
There
that is
you
so
go.
true. Yep.
All right. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Reading ahead. Dave and Mike turn around to notice. Yeah. Dave and Mike turn around and notice that the brothers are missing. And Mike assures Dave that those two always land on their feet like cats and that they'll be just fine. The brothers are greeted by two seemingly female killer clowns with boobs that slowly blow up like balloons. And Paul asks, "Are you Debbie's roommates?"
Oh my god.
I love that. I think I almost fell out of my seat laughing. Every time that part happens, I can't help it. I crack up.
Yeah, they just like deliver the line so genuinely too. It's like you can't tell that these are monsters. Come on, man.
So
They're blinded by the boobs, you know?
They're either
Yeah.
that dumb or they're just so blissfully ignorant they don't want to see it.
Exactly. Back up above, Dave and Mike walk through the door, and Mike realizes that the tunnel looks familiar, and he tells Dave that this is the tent he and Debbie went into earlier that night. Mike leads the way, and he and Dave go into the giant cotton candy factory room. They hide behind some cotton candy when a clown enters to inspect the different things of cotton candy. He stops at one that he knocks on and smells and pokes until he decides it's ripe enough to stick a straw into and drink from. That's what it seemed like, is when you're at the grocery store trying to pick the perfect fruit.
Yeah.
We watch as the clown drinks a red liquid through a really long crazy straw. And I put,
I
oh my
love
God,
that
I love crazy
I-
straws.
That was
When I
my
was a
first thought
kid.
was, I want that straw.
Yeah. I know we used to have like a collection of crazy straws. Yeah. Until there's nothing left to drink. The clown burps and he stumbles away like he's drunk. After the after the clown walks away, Mike has a mini panic attack until Dave looks behind him and sees Debbie's balloon hanging with a few other balloons. They can't puncture the balloon by hitting it, so Dave shoots it and the balloon pops, dropping Debbie on the ground. She's having a hard time breathing and seems to be a little sluggish, so she probably would have ran out of air and died if they hadn't done that. The guys help support her for a minute until all of her faculties return, and then they begin being chased by a bunch of clowns. So she's gotta come back real quick.
What's the difference between the balloons and the cotton candy? Like, why do you think they put her in a punching?
Yeah.
Looks like a punching balloon.
I looked that up actually a lot, and the major consensus is two thoughts. Is one, they're just saving them for later, so they don't want them to necessarily digest quite yet, so they just want them to do that. The other one is because there's so few of the balloons, they're turning females into female clowns. And so possibly because she couldn't breathe is because maybe they were essentially terraforming the inside of the balloon so she would be able to breathe their atmosphere.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So they're essentially going to use her to make more baby clowns.
Yeah. That makes sense,
Holy
actually.
Shit. Oh, that's crazy. I thought it was because it would be easier to transport on their clown car.
I mean, yeah, that's a possibility, but at that point, why not put them in the cotton candy too? Like once they get in there, like just throw them. Like it's not like it takes so much. They just
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Wow, that is a crazy. Wow. I'm gonna have to like try and find some interviews with the Chiodo brothers to see what they can. They're probably like, we did not think that deeply about it. Be cool if they did though.
Yeah.
Let's see. They run to a pole that goes to a floor below, like at a fire station, and they slide down one by one to the next floor. They don't go further below because there's a gross fish-looking monster waiting to eat them. I don't know what that was about, but it looked cool.
Yeah.
They walk through a tunnel with structures that slowly sway back and forth, and they walk through the structure that looks like an anglerfish's head. And inside of that, they walk through a bunch of balloons, like a mass of balloons. It's actually annoying for them to get through. And they come out through the mouth of another anglerfish's head. They approach a door, but when Mike opens it, it turns out that there are many smaller doors to open behind it. I love this scene because they're like, hurry, hurry, open the door. And he's like, I'm opening all the doors. They're never ending. And he continues to open doors until they finally open the last one and they go through. They come to a giant room with a bunch of oddly shaped structures of varying colors and shapes and sizes that look like children's toys blown up to fit the room. They find a structure that they can climb up on top of, and they all hold hands while they're surrounded by the most clowns that we've seen in one scene so far. I put that I guessed that there was 20 to 30, but in trivia, I found that there was more like 40.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. The clowns seem to have a hard time climbing up, so they wave their various club-like weapons at them as they're slowly climbing up to meet their victims. All of a sudden, Rich and Paul drive through a wall in their ice cream truck and announce over the speaker, "Leave them alone! Do as I say or else! I am the great and powerful JoJo! I command you to stop! Do not hurt them! Let them go! You will obey!" This actually works briefly, probably because there's a clown head on top of their truck that confuses the clowns. In their stunned confusion, Mike, Dave, and Debbie climb down the structure and run to the ice cream truck. All of a sudden, the clowns look up and they start to look nervous as another giant puppet clown descends from the center of the roof down to ground level. he angrily shakes off his strings and goes up to the ice cream truck, which he smashes with his fists over and over until he finally just grabs the truck and throws it across the room. The truck lands on its side and bursts into flames. This is Clownzilla, by the way, this giant clown, which is so cool. I love that.
The overall costume was pretty awesome. I loved the design of Clownzilla. It looked like a evil character from like Crash Bandicoot. Like
my God, yes.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That is a great description. I agree. Very terrifying. What was I gonna ask? Did you find anything when you're doing your notes and research about like why the clowns might be afraid of him?
I think that's like their leader.
Yeah, but why do they all like scurry away?
I mean, they're also essentially, if you got to think of like Star Wars, no one hangs around when a Rancor comes. Like,
that's a good point.
He probably just doesn't differentiate between anything around him is probably what it is. So he probably kills whatever's around him.
Oh, maybe.
So they probably just don't like being around him. It may not even be their leader. It may just be like one of the clowns happens to be a giant, angry clown that kills the rest of them.
Oh my God.
It could be why he was on strings too, though. Like he may have been that they may hold him until last minute things, like like that may be his chains type thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's a good point. When they want to bring out the big guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in Nightbreed, they have like they're all monsters, but then they have the real crazy monsters that they keep locked up, and when they get out, they're like, "Oh, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
And I put, all the clowns ran and hid once they realized the giant clown was coming down. Mike yells out for his friends, and Dave tells Debbie and Mike to get out of there and says that he'll stay behind to distract the giant clown monster. Debbie tries to argue that they can all leave and survive, but Dave refuses. Mike and Debbie leave, and Dave runs around and takes a few shots at the clown. The giant clown eventually grabs Dave up in his massive fist, and we see from the outside that the tent is now in the shape of a spinning top, which is ascending into the air. Just then, a bunch of police cars show up to watch the scene. In the tent, the clown growls at Dave, and he grabs his Hensa name tag off of his uniform and uses it to puncture the clown's nose. The clown spins faster and faster until he explodes. I think that's fun, too, the way they die.
Nice little David and Goliath story in there.
Oh, yeah. Look at you. You're a podcaster. Let's see. He's so big that the explosion affects the whole tent ship, which falls to pieces on the ground. Dave emerges from under some rubble, and adorably, Mike and Debbie both run up to him and hug him excitedly.
Yeah.
That's actually made me want to tear up a little bit. I thought it was so cute. Rich and Paul also both appear from their truck eating ice cream and looking a little frosty.
No, they appeared from the clown car.
Oh, were they in the clown car?
Yeah, they were in the clown car.
I thought that they were hiding in the freezer with the ice cream.
Oh, that's right. I feel like,
I put, or at least that's what I put, but you know me, I can't remember anything after 5 seconds.
That may be right. That may be right, because I got confused because I was like, well, it burned, so they couldn't have come out of there. So
yeah, that's how they didn't blow up in the explosion or whatever. They were in the freezer.
I remember that because I remember thinking that was like an Indiana Jones situation, and I'm like, that's not how that works.
The clown car was there, though. Maybe Dave came out of the clown car, and I just thought he came out from under some rubble. I'm not sure.
I feel like someone came out of the clown car.
Yeah. Mike is so happy to see them as they begin to bicker amongst themselves again already. Mike, Dave, and Debbie look up towards the sky while Debbie asks, "Do you think it's over?" Dave responds, "Yeah, sure." When a bunch of pies fall down on top of them along with confetti. The movie ends on a freeze frame, of course, because it's the 80s, of the three covered in pie guts, and the amazing Killer Klowns song plays again over the credits. Yay! Perfect ending. I loved it.
It was the perfect corny ending. But then also shut up. You don't know if it's funny.
Also, are they gonna melt?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm wondering.
Maybe it was just a warning shot from other ships.
Like, I hope they don't melt under the pies. I feel like there's enough of a body count that we can let these people live.
Yeah.
So, well, what did you guys think overall? We don't have to give ratings yet because I'm going to get into trivia, but what do you think? Go ahead, Tammy.
I mean, this is not a movie I would have ever watched on my own, but I can appreciate it for what it is. Like, I get it. This just isn't my kind of movie. So for me to even rate it or review it, it's just not fair, I don't think. But like, it's exactly what I thought it would be. But
Yeah.
I just like, it was better than I thought it was going to be. I liked a lot of the, like, what I felt were like little, like we kind of mentioned, little nods and homages to other movies. You could really see that. It's just a silly, but also, I mean, it did have some like darker intonations to it. So it was better than I thought it was going to be. It's just not my kind of movie, that's all. So I'm not going to like shit all over it and everything, because I think this is like, for people whose type of movie this is probably a really great one, So, and I have put off watching it for 40 years now. So I'm glad I finally watched it. And it's not like something that I would seek out, but I get what you're saying about it's like something that you could just like put on, I think it's for the right kids. I think this might be a good gateway kind of a movie. Even with the boobs and all that. But yeah, it was better than I thought it was going to be. So
I was
thought
wondering,
good,
you appreciate like the details and stuff.
Like, I was engaged. I didn't feel the time at all. Like, I enjoyed myself. It's just not my kind of movie, that's all. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a 80s movie you can cross off your list.
Right, exactly. And I'm proud to do that. So
yay.
Yeah.
What about you, Dylan?
I mean, this is one of my favorite movies. Like, I love this movie from just the details, the little nuances they have in it, the comedy, but still, like you said, hinting at some of that dark stuff. That's the kind of humor that I love. I love dark humor. I love things that are like, while this is a funny movie, you realize, wow, these, like, it kind of just brushes over the fact that these people are literally dying. Like, every one of those cocoons has a dead person inside of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, these people are coming back. No, like 90% of this town is now dead.
Yeah.
But it's like, yay, we 5, I guess, at the end of the movie, we all survived, and it's like, cool, everybody else is dead. Good job.
I know, yeah,
Like,
there's a lot of dead
they
people.
weren't really heroes because at the end of it, the clowns were leaving anyways. They literally came in one night, stole a bunch of people, and were like leaving. Like, efficiency at its finest to me. Like, there was no messing around. There was no couple days in between, no setting up. It was just people wanting to try to survive or help other people. And then, yeah, they won in the end, but at the end, did they really win or did they just survive?
They just they just won their lives is basically what they won.
Yeah, I will say.
Well, at least the clowns can't continue to go around terrorizing and eating more people or other species from other planets or anything.
At least that.
But I mean, if they came as something they thought would work, won't they just come as something else next time?
Well, it depends on if they were changing their shapes or forms, or if that was what they were.
Yeah, if they're just really clowns.
Well, plus, think about all the popcorn babies that were down on the Earth.
Yeah.
Did they die, or do they still? Are they going to get up and then reunite? Like,
that's true.
Yeah, just that dumpster had how many hundreds of babies in it? You know, with that whole bag.
I will say that to me, the way to phrase this movie is it's a perfect ADHD movie.
Totally.
You don't have to focus on something for too long. It's something a little bit, something else, a little bit, something else, a little bit, bright colors, lots of things happening, messed up here and there, funny bit, and it's just, you can go and just be like, yeah, like, you don't lose focus in it at all, because it's something different each time. Like every few minutes, it's completely different. And that's what I like about it. Like, I like that I can watch it and at no point in time, like, go, okay, this scene's going on a long time. Can we hurry this up? Like, I'm kind of bored. Like, and that tends to happen, I think, with a lot of horror movies, is that there's a lot of scenes that I think just drag sometimes, where, like, yeah, it helps build suspense for the type of movie, but also it's kind of like,
yeah, sometimes you like lose the suspense because like they try to hold on to it too long.
Yeah, well, and for someone like me, my attention does not. I have very short attention span, so I'll sit there and I'll watch and I'll watch and I'll watch and I'll be like, and then something will happen and I'll miss it and I'll be like, God damn
it. Totally.
Plus,
hey, do you remember? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know we mentioned it, but I got to give him mad props for all the practical effects. Like, having just seen Kong Godzilla, man, that thing is almost all CGI. And it's so, and I bet that's probably the best CGI we have right now. I guarantee in a movie like that. And it's just gets, after about 15 minutes, I'm checked out. Like, you know, it's just so bad. So I can really, really appreciate something like this. I mean, for sure, the clowns looked great. I thought their costumes, whatever you'd call them, were seamless.
Yeah.
You know, and with the teeth and everything, it really pulled off both clownish and menacing at the same time. So I really appreciated it.
You know that Kongzilla was 27 feet tall?
Really?
Really?
Not so obviously they superimposed him onto the background and made him bigger, but that's how tall he was in comparison to everybody, is he was supposed to be 27 feet tall.
Oh, okay. I see. Like POV techniques.
Yeah.
So they superimpose him, obviously, like you can see when he grabs, him, he's obviously superimposed in there. He's not really there. So yeah, it's just one of those things that's how big he essentially was supposed to be.
Okay. But it's just like a regular size suit.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool.
And then they just made like a big hand, the one that grabs him. They just made a big hand. And I think in the scene where he goes up to the face, they may have made the face of it just to have like something for size, and they didn't have to superimpose everything. So they just kind of had a green screen behind him with him in a fake hand next to the fake face.
Nice.
Yeah.
Everything looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. So cool. I was going to ask, do you remember who showed you this movie?
I want to say my dad.
Okay. Wow.
I want to say
I would never peg your dad as watching this.
He liked it because he thought it was silly. Like, he thought it was really silly. So that was one of the things that he thought was pretty funny, because he didn't take it seriously at all. I said, he just, I think almost verbatim was, look at this silly shit.
That sounds right. That's true. He's the one who first showed me House of a Thousand Corpses, and he thought that was hilarious. So I can see that.
I mean,
that's so funny, because this was...
Where else can you see Dwight Schrute get turned into a mermaid?
Yes, I agree. Yeah, because I know that I'm pretty sure I found out about this movie because of you, because you used to watch it. Yeah. I don't think that I watched it before you did. And I think when I was younger that I didn't really like it. And as I got older and I like started doing rewatches, I was like, this is actually really clever. And like, it's pretty well written and the practical effects are really good. So it's like every time I watch it, I love it a little more. But I didn't like it when I was younger.
It grows on you. It definitely grows on you, and you watch it, because I'm pretty sure when I first started watching it, like when Dad showed me it, I probably didn't like it. And then, like you said, like, I not necessarily didn't like it, but didn't like it as much as I do now. Mm-hmm. And then as I got older and my sense of humor got darker, and like learned some stuff, like the fact that how much time goes into practical effects and everything.
Right.
So to me, it was very like, I started to respect it a little bit more for sure, because the amount of time it takes these people to do this stuff is astounding. Like, and I know that CGI and stuff takes time, but to like the actors that have to sit in the makeup and put this stuff on for hours. Like, I don't, like Jim Carrey and the Grinch. Like, how do people do that? Like, I don't understand how people could just sit there for hours on end, essentially not being able to move. Like,
Yeah.
people swarming you the entire time. I mean, this guy had to go through like CIA training for torture because of how bad it was to put on makeup. So anybody that does practical effects is better, or to me it's a much better time as far as a movie goes, because I respect it so much more.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
makes a huge difference when you're actually watching the movie.
Yeah.
It just feels so
Yeah.
much more real.
Yeah, it's like, you can tell the people, you can tell work went into it. It's makes it tangible. Like, I can touch it. It's not something that like, oh, it's a green screen, guy wearing a bodysuit, green screen. Like, not someone talking to a green blob right here and there's no one actually there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to get into some trivia before we do ratings. And I just pulled this all off of IMDb. So, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if any of this is fake, but the $2 million budget went primarily on production costs. The clowns and visual effects were created almost entirely by the filmmakers at very little cost. So that is crazy. Though not a hit when it was in theaters, the film has since become a cult classic and made revenue in action figures, DVDs, and T-shirts. That is definitely a fact.
Sounds right.
Clownzilla was originally meant to be shot with stop motion animation, but for speed and budgetary reasons, Charlie Chiodo played the character in a rubber suit.
That's
So
pretty
awesome.
cool. I will say, I don't think I'd like it as much if it was stop motion animation. I would not
Yeah.
like it. I think it would get too. I think that would have been a point where I would have been like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah. I have to say, whenever I see stop motion in 80s movies, it makes me so happy, but it's always because it's so bad it's good. You know what I mean? Like, I can't think of a time when it was actually like successful
yeah.
when you think about it, but I'm always just like, yes, the stop motion
Yeah.
animation, it looks so bad.
That would just remind me of like an old school dinosaur fighting dinosaur on a
Yes,
cliffside
love
situation.
that.
Like, I would not. I'd have just been like, okay, fast forward this part or check out mentally. Like, I'm done.
Yeah. The theme song was written and performed by the Dickies. Michael S. Siegel and Peter Lacossi, who are the Trenzi brothers, were an established LA comedy duo prior to the movie. Among other appearances, they performed a comical ballet together in Cheeseball Presents. Your face. You look intrigued.
Well,
or concerned.
Ballet, like, that is a term I've never heard before. But now I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah, me too.
Just like, it's gonna be like, it feels like it's gonna be terrible, but like,
but great,
terribly good.
Yeah, it's like in Forgetting Sarah Marshall when he has like the puppet. What is it? It's like a puppet opera play thing going on about Dracula.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. I did not know that I needed this. The Chiodo brothers were interviewed for the podcast Classic American Movies to talk about the making of Killer Klowns as well as where their love of film began. I'm going to look up that episode and listen to it. So I just wanted to bring it up in case anybody's interested. Originally, the film was to be titled simply Killer Klowns. However, the Chiodo brothers feared that it would sound too much like a basic slasher movie, so they added From Outer Space to acknowledge the humor in the film up front, which I think is very smart.
Good call.
Yeah. Many of the characters in the film, including Mike Tobacco, the Trenzi brothers, and Joe Lombardo, were real names and based on real childhood buddies of the Chiodo brothers. Mike Tobacco was known for bringing girls to make out point with champagne in his glove compartment and a rubber raft in his back seat.
Yeah,
Very
that's another. We didn't talk about that, and that was one thing. I wrote it in my notes, and I didn't. I just glanced over it. Why? Why
were
does
they
he
in the
have a
raft?
fully inflated rubber raft in the back of his Jeep?
Well, this is why. Because real Mike Tobacco was known for doing that. The Terenzi brothers really did rent an ice cream truck with the hopes of getting girls. I think that's so funny. Like, what?
Hey, I mean, bad idea, but at least they were going for something.
That's so
It's
funny.
original. You could say that at least.
That is true. Most original pickup ever.
Maybe they were going after single moms. You don't know. Like,
Do single moms love ice cream or something?
no, but their kids do.
Oh, okay. The popcorn gun included a compressor inside that would fire real popcorn. It was the most
awesome.
It better be, because it was the most expensive prop in the movie, costing $7,000 and taking 6 weeks to build.
How?
I feel like I could get that done for like $50
Nowadays, yeah.
and a 12-pack.
I know. Also, like, how badly did they need to have the popcorn gun?
Yeah. I mean,
Like, he could have just thrown popcorn at her.
Yeah.
Well, really, what? The popcorn gun was only in the one scene.
The one
because in the
scene.
other scene, he threw the popcorn out of his bag. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's an odd place to put $7,000.
Yeah. Eh. It is cool, but yeah,
Yeah.
they should have either used it more or just cut it out. During the production, the executives asked for more clown mayhem. This resulted in the door-to-door shots of the clown zapping people.
That makes a lot of sense.
Which actually I love. It's the one time I
Yeah.
agree with the executives.
Because
you think that's why the boobs are in there?
Yeah, well, and I mean, it's just one of those things that they go, they made the movie, and then they kind of go, well, maybe we can add, if they want more clown mayhem. It's like, okay, well, random ideas. I feel like they literally sat in a room and like threw ideas out on postcards, and we're like, post notes or whatever. We're like, let's have one of them deliver a pizza. Let's have one of them deliver Valentine's. Just little random ideas. Like, I feel like that was literally, they sat in a room until they had all the ideas down.
Totally. The Jeep that was covered and filled with cotton candy webbing was loaned to the production by a local car dealership. They were told by the effects department that if they sprayed the Jeep with Pam, the webbing wouldn't permanently stick and could be wiped right off. However, the solvent in the webbing caused major damage to the inside of the car, particularly to the seats and finish. This necessitated $3,000 in repairs at a different car dealership before the production could return the Jeep to its owner.
Oops.
Whoops. It was cool, though.
I was going to say, it's worth it. That was a good scene.
Yeah. Approximately 40 clowns were used in the climax in the spaceship Big Top, which is what I said earlier. The original ending, this caught me off guard. The original ending sees Deputy Dave die in the Big Top explosion. But after test screenings, executives wanted a more upbeat ending. While the Chiodo brothers initially resisted, ostensibly and ridiculously wanting a realistic ending, they ended up reshooting the ending in a parking lot in Van Nuys? I don't know.
Van Nuys.
I don't know. What is that? Is that like a type of store?
It's a city.
City.
Oh, I knew that.
Nice,
Oddly enough, the Terenzi brothers always survived the explosion by hiding in the freezer of their ice cream truck. I would have been so bummed if Dave actually died.
Yeah.
I think he was my favorite character, to be honest with you. So
the Terenzi brothers were definitely mine. I literally, I think in my notes, especially in the scene where they hooked up with the clowns, I said, the Terenzi brothers give no fucks.
They really don't.
They don't. They have one goal, in their head, and that's to get laid by
Yeah.
any means necessary. And that's what they did.
You know, usually the Trenzy brothers would be my favorite too, but I think that Dave was also my favorite, which is funny because he hasn't really acted in any. I mean, he acted in a lot of different TV shows, but
I think it's because he actually used his brain. He was a rare character in like a horror movie where he didn't just do stupid things.
That's so
Yeah.
true.
Like
Yeah.
he like used common sense and what didn't just jump into things willy-nilly, was like actually used his brain, but then questioned him at one point, then saw it, and then was like, okay, well, you guys were right. I'm cool. Like we'll get this done together. Like it was pretty realistic as far as you would think someone would react to that kind of situation.
yeah, I think I liked him just because he wasn't like stubborn like everybody always is.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like he would actually just be proven wrong and then take it in stride and be like, okay, I was wrong. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm always right.
Well, between even Deb and like Mike, like he was the most level-headed out of the three.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, although I didn't add this in there, but I did see a bit of trivia that Debbie and Mike, they wanted to kind of flip the gender stereotype. So he was supposed to kind of be like the dumb blonde, and she's supposed to be the smarter one who catches on right away that there's something wrong, you know?
Yeah. I will
So
say I did actually make a note of that in while I was watching. I noticed that she went from being very gung ho about finding the meteor and this and that to all of a sudden flipping a switch, basically going like, we need to get out of here, like this isn't safe, like. And it was, that to me is a little subtle way of them doing that, because it was like he was like, oh no, let's go touch things and beep boop bop, and I'm gonna do this and that. And she was like, we need to get out of here, like this is really dumb, we should go.
yeah.
Like, so that to me was a little subtle way that I think that they were able to work it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if anyone was wondering if this is a feminist movie, there you go. We made it fit. Well, I don't want you to waste all your notes and stuff. Was there anything in your notes that you didn't get to mention that you would like to bring up?
I don't believe
Okay.
so. I mean, other than like, oh, one of the little fun things was like that entire night, like Mooney didn't get a single call about the clowns, which supposedly by that point had started grabbing people or whatever. Didn't get a single call for like the first 45 minutes of the movie. Like there was no police calls about these freaking clowns running around the city.
That is so true.
It's like,
Yeah.
what is everybody doing? Yeah. Like I know that there's not cell phones, but there's people in buildings with phones that could be like, this is weird, I don't like this.
Oh, but you know what? The clowns, because it seemed like they didn't go to like the main city until they like see the sign and head into the city. So maybe they're just grabbing like backwoods people at first.
There was, it was a really dumb note that I took because it cracked me up. But in the scene where they're walking into the city next to the sign, one of the clowns had the biggest butt. Like
a bubble butt.
Yeah, it had a huge butt, and I was just like, and I literally just wrote like "dat butt." Like that's all I wrote next to that scene was "dat butt," because I was like, Jesus, like it was twice as big as he was.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to go back and look. I'm curious. It's funny the things that you miss, or the things that you don't. All right, well. It sounds like we're done with our review and our trivia, so we can move on to ratings. Dylan, as our special guest of honor, would you like to give your rating first?
For me, I would say like a solid 9.5. I wouldn't say perfect, even though it is like one of my favorite movies of all time, because I feel like there was probably a few things they could have just changed, like storyline wise or little things here and there, but nothing like major. So it was just little personal nuances that I have, and that's probably after watching it multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I think I'm like that with I think I'm like that with House, because you know that's kind of like my Killer Clowns from Outer Space was House. And I think I gave it a 9.5, and I was like, I want to give it a 10, like in my heart, but I have to be somewhat realistic.
Yeah, it is what it is, and you know what it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give it an 8.5. And like I said, it's like going up a little bit every time I watch it. And I think it's just because it has that like very rewatchable quality about it. And yeah, my appreciation just continues to grow, when I pay more and more attention to all the little details and the special effects, and I just love it. And yeah. Tammy, if you don't feel comfortable giving it a rating, you don't have to. I won't force you.
I will, but I'm gonna do my caveat thing where I'm like, I'm gonna rate this as an 80s,
Yeah.
I'm gonna rate it for what it is. So for the kind of movie that it is, it has a lot going for it. I think I'd give it an 8. Like, just if I'm just putting it up against its peers, I think it has a lot going for it. And I am really enamored with the way that they were able to just like almost practically do this whole entire thing, and on such a small budget. I find out now. I also used to watch Face Off all the time, and I can't believe that they're saying they did these clown outfits so cheaply. And all that. It's like, no, there's a lot. Somebody put a lot of craft work into those, because they've got clothes on. You've got a person inside of there, yet they're still able to move the prosthetics with their own facial muscles and stuff like that. I just thought it all looked really, really great. And it reminded me, like I said, a lot of The Blob, which I love. And it kind of reminded me of Invaders from Mars a little bit. So, I mean, it's of its time, but I'm also think I'm a little grateful that I never saw it till now, because I think now I'm able to watch it, with my nostalgia glasses on. So I'm able to just see this as, for what it is. Yeah. Like I said, I never would have probably sought this out on, or maybe I would have, I don't know. It just feels like one of those movies that I needed to eventually, check the box for. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought that I would. And I was happy for you guys, because I know how much you guys, well, I didn't know at the time, Dylan, I just met you, but you remind me a lot of Jessica, it seems like, and what kind of movies you like. And I was happy for you guys, because I could see how good this was for, I could see why someone who likes these kind of movies would really appreciate this one. So, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm like in an absolute shock right now. I'm so happy that you gave it an 8. I've been trying to do that too. Like, this is this kind of subgenre of horror. So I'm going to go into my rating with that in mind, and not just like rate all movies, the same, because they're different kinds of movies.
Well, being on a podcast, especially when, you're on Horrorcast, when there's 4 of us, I'm going to come up against movies that just are not going to be my thing. But I had to learn to accept them for what they are, not just for what I would like. You know what I mean? Like, and I can listen to someone who loves these kind of movies and see how much they like it. So I can think, wow, this must be really great for this kind of movie or whatever, and try to have a more open heart, because me, I can be quite hard on movies sometimes. Some I just don't care. They just suck ass. But when something like, it's just being on the podcasts has forced me to just have a more open mind and just start to learn to appreciate movies for what they are. Not just everything based on, this is something I would like, because I'm here to discuss film. I'm not here to discuss what Tammy likes. So, yeah, it's broadened my horizons, I guess. So, yeah.
We must have sold it, Dylan. We must have sold this movie.
Apparently.
Tammy believed us. Yay. Well, that makes my heart very happy. Before I get into my monstrous mention, which kitty is that?
That's Salem.
Oh, Salem. She looks like Poochie Mama. Is Salem a boy or a girl?
Yeah, girl.
Girl, okay. Yeah. I was like, oh, wait, it might be a boy. It might be like a Sabrina. All right. Well, awesome.
She looks exactly like her. It's eerie.
Yeah. Oh, so cute. Oh, I just heard my dog make a weird sound outside. Okay. So, on tonight's episode, our monstrous mention is Daniel Bjork, who is a Swedish digital artist who draws mashups of horror properties and 80s, 90s pop culture properties. I wanted to pick something fun for this episode, and I thought that Dylan would appreciate this artist too. So, if you go on Instagram, you can find Daniel at kickpunch.se. And his website is www.kickpunch.se, where you can buy his prints and shirts. And the posts that I particularly appreciate are the ones where he does book covers with his emblem that look like old twisted versions of little golden books. The most recent post.
I'm intrigued now.
Yeah, it kind of made me think of your trading cards in a way.
He's
Tammy.
got a shirt that's the Aristocats, but it's like Pet Cemetery Aristocats.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, and just as an example, I wrote that the most recent post on his Instagram is a mashup of Cocaine Bear with the Care Bears.
I love it.
So, Kick Punch, aka Daniel Bjork, we salute you. Keep on making fun stuff. And other than that, we're gonna get the hell out of here. So, Tammy, you want to take us out?
Why? It's only been 3.5 hours. What's your hurry?
I know. Sorry, you're probably tired.
Right. So that's going to do it for this episode of Horror Through Her Eyes. Next time we'll be reviewing Cabin in the Woods, another one I have never seen, from 2011 with another wonderful guest, fellow weirdo Laura Elizabeth, who won our first official contest and picked this movie for us to review. So, yay, another guest.
Yay.
I love having guests. Please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast anywhere where podcasts are found. Join our Horror Through Her Eyes podcast group page. Email us at horrorthroughhereyes@yahoo.com. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at Horror Through Her Eyes Pod with an underscore in between each. Follow us on TikTok at Horror Through Her Eyes Pod. Follow us on Letterboxd at Horror Her Eyes. And follow our YouTube channel at Horror Through Her Eyes Pod. As we bid you farewell, we hope you enjoyed your time with us on Horror Through Her Eyes. How many times I've just said that? It's been a blast diving into the depths of dread with you. And until next time, remember to live deliciously.
Yay.
You were a great guest, Dylan. It was so nice to meet you and have you. Yeah.
Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides and slides across the floor, right through the door and all around the wall. A splotch, a blotch, be careful of the blob. Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides and slides across the floor, right through the door and all around the wall. A splotch, a blotch, be careful of the blob. Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides and slides